Good morning. The November 17th, 2025 work session of the Douglas County Board of Commissioners will come to order. Welcome, citizens of Douglas County. County Clerk, please take the roll for the record.
Yes, ma'am. District 1 Commissioner Henry Mitchell. District 2 Commissioner Whitney Kenner-Jones.
Present.
District 3 Commissioner Martin Raxton.
Present.
District 4 Commissioner Vice Chair Mark Alcaraz.
Present.
Chairman Dr. Ramona Jackson-Jones.
Present. Board of Commissioners, we do have an established quorum this morning. Public Clerk, did we have anyone sign up for public comment today?
Yes, ma'am. We had several individuals. Before I call you up, I will just remind you, you have 3 minutes to address the board. Once your 3 minutes are up and you hear the bell, please wrap up your comments. And when you reach the mic, please restate your name and your subject matter. Our first speaker is Ms. Dot Paget.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good
Can you hear
morning.
me?
Yes.
Yes.
Very well. All right.
good.
And thank you for having public comments for our citizens of Douglas County. I think this has been mentioned before, but if it has not, it's worth mentioning it again. The Kennesaw University report has been brought out many, many times during this discussion. And part of what they have done is to make recommendations. It would have been very nice if they'd have sent us a $75,000 check along with it. We could have used that. But one of the things that they have emphasized is the building, and the building that houses the museum. And I can tell you accurately and factually that that building would have been destroyed. It was destined to be torn down. And there's one person in this courtroom or in this Citizens Hall this morning that has saved that building, and that was Suzanne Hudson. And she's gonna be mad at me for even mentioning this, but it might have been mentioned before, but she was the one who had the vision to say we do not need to tear this building down. We do not need for it to be a pile of rubble. We do not need to be carried to the dump to be destroyed. The officials in our city and our county then had the same vision, and they had confidence in the citizens that were wanting to put a museum in the building. Our current leaders now, our officials are Chairman Jones and Mayor Robinson. I have seen you two work together in harmony and to do many, many endeavors that have been awards throughout this county and throughout the state of Georgia. So I would like to see the city and the county again come and step in harmony and work together to keep our museum in Douglas County. Right now we are nearing our Christmas season, the holiday season, and I know that all of you are very, very familiar with the classic Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. I know you know the story, so I don't need to tell you that there were three main, very, very important people in that story. And the story was that they came, the past, the present, the yet to come, which was our future. And those three people changed that story. They turned it around, and they made it have a happy ending. So I am hoping that that will happen, and we here, I'll call us the village people, or the people, not the village people, Henry, you can agree about that, but the people in the village or in Douglas County are very much hoping that this story of the museum will have a happy ending. And thank you all for listening, and we appreciate your taking care and listening to our stories. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Dodd. Thank you.
Next, we have Scott Daniel.
Good morning, Mr. Daniel.
Good morning, and thank you for your service.
All right. You're welcome.
I'm a little taller than Miss Dot.
There you go.
Thank you, yes. My name is Daniel, D-A-N-I-E-L-L. As you drive down Post Road, you may see Daniel Mill Road going off to the left. In that community, you will also see the Cool Springs Cemetery. That is the original Daniel burying place going back to the mid-1800s. My family forefathers that came into what was once known as Carroll County came into this area in the 1830s, before Douglas County was organized. My home place, which used to be Carroll County, is within the boundaries of Douglas County now. Moses Daniel died in the 1860s before this county was organized. There is information out in the public, but not a lot of information concerning the Daniel family history. We call it the Red Book. It's constantly being updated as we find artifacts and history about the Daniel family. I'm here to ask you to help me continue to tell my story in Douglas County. I had the opportunity to leave Douglas County and attend the University of Georgia in the 70s. I graduated and I worked for the University of Georgia in 4 different counties for a 30-year career. I returned to Douglas County, the county that I grew up in, because I love this county, I love the people in it, and I love the changes that I've seen. We've had fantastic changes. Remember when Douglas County, the Interstate 20 ended at Highway 5 because I rode motorcycles up and down that hill embankment. And I survived, thank goodness. But I want our commissioners to take a good look at my history as well as the history of other citizens of this county and help me continue that by supporting the Douglas County Museum. We have a gym there. Every organization has ticks that have to be corrected along the way, and from what I'm hearing, there's a lot of people that are willing to help make it workable. So please pass whatever we need to pass to continue my history and the history of other Douglas County citizens, past, present, and future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Daniel.
Thank you.
Clerk.
Our next speaker, Susan Bowie.
I'm not tall enough. I'm going to start by
Good morning,
saying
Ms.
good
Bowie.
morning,
How
or
are you?
Hens Day, which is Muskogee Creek for hello. Let's not forget that heritage. My name is Susan Bowie, 2935 Flowers Drive, Douglasville, Georgia. Been here for 38 years. Let me get, as you know, I have to read these things. See, we are here again for a do-over. And I find it interesting that you caved so easily. I certainly hope that there have not been any further ex parte meetings. I was shocked that it was admitted to in open session last time, and I'm watching even more closely now. I'm here again to discuss this mausoleum of a museum. Let's look at the numbers. I'm going to put feelings aside for just a minute, and I want to talk to you about numbers. After checking what the current rate of rental properties in downtown Douglasville are, I found that the going rate is between $26 and $32 a square foot. Now, I called the museum because I wanted to get their number, and I asked exactly what space they were using, and they're using approximately 70% of the upstairs, which is equivalent to 12,600 square feet. Now, let's multiply that. We're going to go the high end first, the low end first. 12,600 square feet at $26 a square foot is $327,600 a year. High end, 12,600 square feet at $32 a square foot is $403,200. I also found that over the last 4 years, if you average it out, the county gave the museum $52,000 a year for the last 4 years. Now, let's ballpark this. Low end, that comes to $379,600. High end, $403,200 plus the 52, $455,200 is what we're giving this museum a year. That does not include what the taxpayers are paying for utilities and the cleaning services or any of the other little odds and ends. It's not a stretch to say that we are approaching $500,000 to this museum yearly, or $500,000 if you like that number better, in goods and services for a museum that has failed everyone but a select few. Also consider that this figure does not include what we have to pay now to find another home for the election board. So put that on top of the $500,000, because the election board needs a home. And I look and I count how many people are here to support the museum. I wonder if they're willing to give $1,000 a month to pay this rent. No? You're asking the rest of us to pay this. Why should I pay for this? Y'all don't even want to pay for transportation for the handicapped anymore. So no. So I just want to say that I feel, and we're back to feelings, that this is a hobby for a select few. Folks, you should not be burdening all the taxpayers for their hobby. I mean, I'd like to see my history explained further. You know, I go to schools, I talk to your children, I teach them about the Muskogee Creek, I teach them about this land. This is all my land. This was all my tribe's land. It's stolen land. And we're talking about the heritage of this family or that family. This is ridiculous. It doesn't show the entire population of this county. It's a select few. It's a privileged few. And it's time that we stop that. To continue, no other community members are allowed to come into this commission when they've been asked to vacate a building. I don't see any of y'all out there with your pickup trucks helping people get their belongings off the lawn when they're evicted. Yet you're bending over backwards. You gave them 60 days to pack up and find a new home. But then I hear, oh no, we can't do that. We can't kick them out. They had time. They're a business. This isn't a family. This is a nonprofit organization that should know how to run their business. And they say all over media, and I promise I'm wrapping it up, all over social media, where's that $500,000? We can't find it. No wonder they don't understand what goods and services mean. It's not $500,000 in cash, but it is costing us that. And if you continue to support it, you are asking the rest of us to pay for it, and that's just not right. And I ask you to stick to your guns. You made a decision, stick with it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Bowie. Who's next?
Sandra Washington.
Sandra Washington.
Good morning, Commissioners. I came here to express my disappointment that the board continues to pander to what amounts to a vanity project rather than moving forward to best utilize the space occupied by the museum in light of the recent expansion of our courts here. I'm also reminded of a story from Dickens where the moral of is that we need to meet the value of the good of the many, the needs of the many, not the few or the one. And I'm afraid that the museum meets just for a few or a one. For over 15 years, the museum has had the opportunity to prove itself beneficial to the people of this county. The KSU report from 2023 showed the potential for a facility that could have been an educational resource to the schools, representative of the diverse and changing culture of this county, and integrated itself into the tourist industry, bringing revenue to the area. Instead, we have funded through tax dollars of free rent, upkeep, utilities, and additional grants with nothing to show for it other than sentiment, with sketchy data to support its value to the whole community. In 15-plus years, there should be professional archivists, a foundation of donors, a thriving collection of artifacts representative of us all. If you do indeed decide to grant the museum an extension, a year, I believe, was your suggestion, Commissioner Alcaraz, then no other landlord would be so generous. But if that's so, then the museum should pay its way, and that should be at the market value. And it should balance out the outlay that the county is going to have to make to house the election board. That's something that we have to do. We cannot afford to continue to put the burden on the taxpayer for this pet private project. As much as we all would like a museum, we need the museum to stand up and fund itself. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, clerk, who do we have next?
Steve Lawler.
Good morning, Mr. Lawler.
Thank you. My name's Steve Lawler. I've been in this county all my life. I'm 76 years old. I've seen many changes in this county, some good, some bad. It doesn't matter if it was in early days, later days, or whatever. But this museum has not received any taxpayers' money. It came out of the hotel motel tax. They took that away from us. Looking forward to using this property for county purposes, how much is it going to cost you to revamp that building to where you can use it? Most of the rooms only got one outlet. You got to totally rewire it. Well, then you get into asbestos problems. How many millions of dollars is it going to cost you to move the museum out and get your people in? Plus, you've got to, it's on the National Registry. There's strict guidelines you got to go by, things you can and can't do. You need to look into that, because it could cost you more money to put the museum out than they're going to save. And one other thing before I get through. The county museum, the old Douglas County Museum, has numerous African-American people there, like Simeon Springer. I don't know if any of you really know who Simeon Springer is. Most of you should, because you're sitting on the land, this courthouse is sitting on the land that he sold. And he moved here from out of town because he wanted his kids to get a better education and feel safe where he was at. I worked alongside him at Mac Abercrombie's feed mill when I was a little kid, and he was one of my best friends at the time. Even though he was a lot older, he was like a father figure. What's going to happen to him and all the other people that's represented up there that's African American? I mean, I'm not trying to get racial or anything like that, but everybody is represented. And I know for a fact, Catherine Wynn, she was one great lady that worked for that museum hard. And these people don't need to be forgotten about, and they will if that museum closes. And as far as supporting it with taxpayer money, let's go back to being supported by the hotel motel tax that was taken away. And also, I know from what I have seen so far, the museum did not ever get all of the money that was promised to them in latter years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lawler.
Ne-
Madam Clerk.
Next is John Johnson.
Good morning, Mr. Johnson.
My name is John Edward Johnston. I live at 2990 East Anderson Drive in Lithia Springs. The citizens of Douglas County need our Museum of History and Art. This museum is not just a building, it is a collection of artifacts, documents, and stories that define Douglas County. In fact, the Douglas County Courthouse is our largest artifact as it is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Our Museum of History and Art educates the public by collecting, conserving, and protecting artifacts, documents, and other tangible links to the past that might otherwise be lost. This ensures that the cultural wealth of Douglas County is held in trust for future generations. The County Commission, the museum staff, and the citizens need the opportunity to work together to determine the best use for this building and its contents. Together, we can develop a plan to keep the museum intact, develop new exhibits, increase visitation, and increase fundraising so that it best serves the county, the city, us, the citizens, and the tourists who come through our community. Please, just give us the chance to work together. By terminating the lease, you jeopardize the future of our museum. By terminating the lease, you jeopardize our history. Please vote to keep the museum intact at its current location. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. Colt Hamrick.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
My family have served this county longer than some people in this building have even known where Douglas County is on a map. My great-uncle Roy Hamrick, a former commissioner himself, honored our community in the 80s by naming Mattie McCoy Lane after Miss Mattie McCoy because he understood respect. My cousin Hal served as probate judge with integrity. And my great-grandmother Lucille Redding became this county's first female sheriff when people insisted she had no business wearing a badge. She didn't accept nonsense, and neither do we. The Museum of History and Art should not have been dragged to this meeting like it's pleading for charity. The lease shouldn't be a negotiation, bargaining chip, or even a topic for discussion. It should have been renewed the moment the paperwork hit a desk. Because this isn't a tenant. This isn't some optional program. This is the living core of Douglas County's identity, and it's being treated like a disposable afterthought. Every person in this county should be embarrassed that the museum had to show up today to defend its right to stay in the building it currently occupies. The attempt to shove county offices in the old courthouse has nothing to do with serving the people. It's about convenience, cutting corners, and avoiding the responsibility of actual planning. Instead of doing the job identifying appropriate spaces, someone thought the old courthouse was the easiest dumping ground, like it's extra storage, just another room or space. Let's make one thing unmistakably clear. The courthouse is not your plan B, plan C, or your shortcut. It is the one building in this county you do not get to treat like a solution to avoiding doing real work. There are dozens of locations you can put offices. There's only one courthouse that carries the weight of this county's entire history. If leadership can't grasp that difference, then the problem isn't the museum. The problem is the leadership. History isn't the obstacle, but laziness absolutely is. The museum is not blocking progress, it is the progress. The only thing in the way right now is the mindset that heritage is inconvenient. Other counties pray for a historic courthouse like ours, intact, meaningful, and still alive with real stories. Yet here some people want to treat it like an overflow closet. That's not just misguided, that's a fundamental misunderstanding of why this county even has pride, identity, or culture to begin with. Not on my family's watch and not on this community's watch. This vote will define every single one of you. Each commissioner sitting here will be remembered for this moment. You will either protect what generations before you bled, built, and preserved, or you will submit yourselves as the board that tried to bulldoze this county's heritage for the sake of convenience and shortcuts. Your vote is your legacy, and the public will attach your name to it permanently. The solution is simple, and it almost insults the public. Renew the lease fully, immediately, without governance. I don't mean to sound like a heartless jackass, but we protected this county then, we protected it today, and we'll keep protecting it until the right thing is done.
Thank you so much. Madam Clerk.
Joe Phillips.
Good morning, Mr. Phillips.
Good morning. When we understood that a group from Kennesaw State was going to come to evaluate the museum, we were absolutely delighted.
Sir, can you restate your name and address? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry?
Can you restate your name and address,
I'm so
please?
sorry. My name is still Joe Phillips, and my subject is the Kennesaw Report. When we heard that they were going to visit and give us advice, the academics, we were very pleased. We welcomed them. I was away, and so I wasn't there when they toured the museum, but the museum staff told me that they were saying things like, how did you do this? Where did all this stuff come from? And so we expected something more than what we got, but actually we didn't get anything. We never got a copy of the report. We requested from the county a copy of the Kennesaw report. It wasn't fulfilled. A few months later, we requested it again. It was not fulfilled. We did not see the Kennesaw report until 2 weeks ago, the 5th of this month. We had no idea what was in it. Good suggestions. We have been moving in some of the same directions that they requested. They also say that, mention a $75,000 annual contribution by the county. We don't really expect that. We do expect it from the hotel motel tax. A hotel motel tax brings millions of dollars into the county, but we can't touch any of it. It's not like there's no money for the museum. The bulk of the hotel motel tax goes to another group, plus a bonus for the director. She is compensated more than the budget for the museum in a year. I don't know what the Department of Revenue would find if they came sniffing around here, but I wouldn't want to be responsible for the results. I dislike arguments. I dislike distrust. I wish we could find a point or two that we can agree on and build something out of that, making each other look good. If I were able to assure you of leadership changes at the museum, would you be willing to step back and review your position on this subject? Mr. Laxton, you're my commissioner. I appreciate your work. You're my commissioner. I live in your district. Would you be willing to step back for a moment? Commissioner Jones, would you be willing to review this? Mr. Mitchell, would you be willing to step back and review this if we promised a leadership change? Well, somebody has to go first, and that's going to be me. As of this moment, I resign from the board of directors as chairman of the board, and as CEO of Old Court Housing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Phillips. Madam Clerk, who's next?
Yes, ma'am. Marjorie Stansel.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You've heard many interesting comments today. I will remark on a couple of those first. I appreciate the lady who spoke about the Indians in this area and their contribution. I'm sorry. I appreciate the lady who spoke about the Creek Indians. I actually majored in archaeology, so I'm aware of that. We only have a few Indian artifacts at the museum because that is all that has been donated. We would love to have more on our Indian history. About the hotel motel tax. 37% of the hotel motel tax goes to a separate organization that was organized specifically to market Douglas County. The remainder of that goes to the county. I have no control over what the county does with that. I noticed on the agenda today an MOU for $100,000 for the Cultural Arts Center and the Chamber of Commerce. I don't know what the Chamber of Commerce does. Why are we giving them money? Did they make a profit? Did they do a report that indicates what they're going to do with the funds? It's just a question to look at. So why not the museum? Each of the three of you who voted to terminate the lease on the museum were not born in Douglas County. You're fairly new here. Whitney Kenner Jones, you were born in Hawaii. You also practiced law in Portland, Oregon before coming here. There's a reason you came here. It has to be a better atmosphere for you than Portland, Oregon was. One of the recent interviews you did said that you believed that compromise was necessary for policymaking. Without compromise and collaboration, there is no sustainable path to success. So where's your compromise here? Your father was in the military. Would you have donated something of his to the museum if he lived here? Martin Raxton was born in Cleveland, Ohio. He doesn't have substantial interest here in Douglas County. He says he doesn't hate museums, so why this one? Henry Mitchell was born in Atlanta. He has a home in Douglas County. We hope he lives here. We're not sure. He served in the Army at Schofield Barracks in Hawaii. Think Pearl Harbor. Did you feel the history there? Shortly after Pearl Harbor, my uncle was sent to Hawaii. He fought in Guam and Leyte in some of the worst fighting in World War II. That's the kind of history we want to protect. Douglas County has very much of that same kind of history in the museum. For all people in the military are covered there. Here's some tips for the county. Hire a space planner to better utilize the space you have. Hire an efficiency expert to better utilize the employees you have. Create a 5-year plan for departmental growth. Apparently you have none. Stop reacting to every departmental request for more space. We citizens cannot afford those demands. Stop creating a separate building for every department that you have lost control over. The tax office and the coroner's office to be mentioned. Let's move them out so we don't have to see them or have oversight of them. Stop using the excuse that you want the museum for space. We know that you don't have a contractor who's looked at that space. Any building constructed between 1950 and 1980 likely contains asbestos ceiling tiles. Any disturbance of that will harm the person who's doing that. You have no idea what it costs to transfer the museum into office space. There is local space available.
Ms. Stansel, if you could just kind of
The
wrap
Antique
it up.
Mall, Sears,
Okay.
and the former Joanne space. Stop destroying our history with your knee-jerk reactions to more space. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Stansel.
Next is, excuse me, Sabina Kelly.
That's okay.
Ms. Kelly,
Good morning. Thank
Mhm.
y'all for listening to us so kindly.
If you could speak up, Ms. Kelly.
Sorry,
Okay, thank you.
sorry. Sabina Kelly, Box 536, Winston, Georgia. And thank you for listening to all of us this morning. It's dear to all of our hearts. I've visited the museum several times. The The last time I visited, I took out-of-town guests there, and I was surprised because not only had the exhibits changed, but there was a new rule that it was a free tour. It's always been a free tour. That's wonderful. I've enjoyed it. I did not enjoy the fact that somebody had to lead me around, unlock a door, let my guests and myself look at the items, read and tell us about what all the signs said. We know how to read. And then usher us out and lock the door again. I'm sure there's a reason for that, but it felt like we were criminals and we weren't allowed to enjoy the museum. And it's probably not like that. It's been a few years back that I went, so I'm hoping that that part has changed at the museum. However, I worked at the voter registration office under Lori Fulton, and I've worked there for 18 plus years, so I know Milton and everybody else. I've worked at the old courthouse for the voters. There's no parking there. You're going to have to build a parking deck if you're going to put the voter registration office there. The Value Village on Highway 5 has tons of parking, and it's a wonderful place if you have to have a new building. It also doesn't have the asbestos. It'd be cheaper to build our voter registration office there. Excuse me. My other point is that we need to get the hotel motel tax back to the museum. I didn't know we got rid of that. And if it's going to other places, it needs to go back to the museum. That way we can have a great museum. And they need to have the survey from the KSU survey that they did in 2023 so that we can upgrade our museum. But I go to the farmer's table and I find out all the history about Lithia Springs and the wonderful hotel that Douglas County had there. I know Lithia Springs is part of Douglas County. Don't know if the hotel was there. I haven't done enough research, but I know the museum people have done all that research and know. It'd be nice to have more history there, along with the history of the Indians that were marched off of Douglas County, and our courthouse was built there. All the trees cut down there now. Dark Corner was also part of Douglas County. We need to have that information at our museum. And it's a wonderful museum, and that's the best place to have a museum for Douglas County. Thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate y'all.
Thank you so much, Ms. Keller. Thank you.
Excuse me, Robin Payne.
Ms. Robin Payne.
Okay.
Sorry. Wait for my chair to decide to cooperate. Sorry. I apologize. This is the first time I've been to a meeting. Sorry. A little bit of, I'm sorry, my name is Robin Payne. I live in Winston. A little bit of backstory on me. I've been researching our family tree, our family history, for close to 30 years, maybe a little bit longer. Discovered where my parents' home is and where my home is in Winston was actually owned by an ancestor of ours, of my father's, many, many years ago. Some of the Daniels. I did not know all this. Thankfully, some history was handed down to me. How many of the commissioners here, I've heard some mentioned, how many of the commissioners here can say that they were born, raised, and live in Douglas County and have history in Douglas County? Their family is here. And how many of you have children or grandchildren, nieces or nephews who live here and are growing up here? How often do you teach them, tell them their history, the history of this county, of where they're living, of where they're walking, of where they're shopping, of what they're doing that was here before them. Highly doubtful that you tell your children or your grandchildren, your nieces, nephews, any of that information. Who's going to tell them that? I can tell you, because I've got grandchildren that went to school here in Douglas County. The school system is not. Our teachers are not. Majority of the teachers, even when my children were going to school here, they're in their 30s now, they're not. They weren't taught about the history of Douglas County at all. My children didn't know that where we live and where their grandparents lived was owned by their ancestors until just in the last 10 years. And only because of the research that I've done and the contacts that I've made, and not because of being taught. Who should be responsible for this? Who is responsible for this? Y'all aren't. By getting rid of this museum, y'all are not. Now, I've seen all the building of the buildings, all the construction, all the money that's being spent on buildings that y'all are building for different things. I don't even know where my mind's going. I'm sorry. I'm going to finish with a reminder. History can and will repeat itself if we don't learn from it. How are we going to learn from it if we don't have a place to learn, a way to learn, someone to teach us? That's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ms. Payne, thank you.
Laurie Rawal.
Hello, thank you for having this meeting to hear from us again, because the first time I ever came to a meeting was the last week. I was embarrassed. I went and talked to Mark after, and I called Mr. Raxton, my commissioner, and talked with him about, y'all embarrassed yourself. You were not on the same page. You blindsided the two of them, the three of y'all. You had not thought this out, no common sense solution for a reasonable time frame, and Mr. Raxton and I talked about that for a long time, and as well as I did with Mark. You did not even act like you wanted to work with the citizens and the museum staff. Mr. Raxton told me, yes, the messaging was not good. Because when everybody left, we felt like you were just fine with a dumpster right outside the museum and get rid of everything. And I know for a fact, we have people here today that they have a lot of items, and if that's what you five choose to do, then they will be very upset because you gave the idea you did not care what happened to the stuff and don't care if we have a museum. The other thing is, Miss Jones, you embarrassed me to death. I mean, the way you talked about jackass, and when I called Mr. Raxton, I said, is Miss Jones going to think I'm bullying you for calling to ask you to come up with common sense solutions with the citizens and the museum staff and for the betterment of Douglas County Museum in general? And about that report, you just rattled off up there untruths. There were several things that were not true, and nobody could rebuttal. I'm so glad that people were here today that actually could tell you the truth about that report. You are right about one thing. Titles do matter. And there are people who work at that museum. Believe it or not, Miss Jones, they have degrees. There's some who have volunteered when they were in college and some who still work there because they have masters in public history. They are a member of the Choctaw Nation. And I wish that report, it would be great if that hotel motel tax could pay. I bet you'd have people that would want to work there full time that are actually qualified to have the titles that Ms. Jones wants them to have. They actually worked on an advisory council with the Choctaw Nation and American University in DC on historic preservation on a paid internship. So I hope that y'all will get some common sense and find a way to not put us in this position where you've already voted on something that you didn't get any input from anybody and assumed, you actually insinuated, Ms. Jones, that they were lying to you about not seeing that report.
We need to wrap it up.
I will be glad to. Thank you very much, but I don't appreciate it. We need some strong communication. We need people who really want the best for Douglas County.
Thank you so much. Who do we have next, Madam Clerk?
Brenda Kristen, I believe it is.
I'm short. You're Justin already because I'm short. Hi, I'm Brenda Christian.
Good morning, Ms. Christian.
So in 1999, Douglas County boomed. It's like everything was built overnight. And I remember talks about the museum or the old courthouse being raised because we had the new courthouse. But if that had happened, then we wouldn't even be having this discussion. You know, it is important to keep history, remember history, add to history, build history. For anyone who doesn't feel represented, you know, make that known. Pretty much every item that I'm aware of at the museum has been donated. So if y'all have family history that you can donate, that would be great. If anything, let's see. I was wondering what tax has been spent on the museum, because I remember when everything was happening like 25, 27 years ago, it was supposed to be funded with the tourist tax. So I was not aware that the taxes were going towards that it was either the tourist fund or from donations. And I'm part of a historical group that does donate to the museum. If you need revenue, I mean, one, it's been nice to have as a venue that's free for anybody to go to. But what is the amount that you're asking for revenue? Do you have a dollar amount? And if that dollar amount is raised, would that specifically stay with the museum or would it be spent elsewhere? I guess that's about, just the idea that, you know, the museum is a depository, it's local history, the items are donated. There is a process if you want to donate things. Be involved, and that's all I've got to say.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next is DeWitt Roper.
Madam Chairman, fellow commissioners, I come at these issues with righteous indignation and reserved anger. It's not about the money, and I'll prove it. For years, I've tried to get the county to address the situation at Cedar Mountain Park. Cedar Mountain Park is part of the county's nearly 2,000 acres of parkland. The Parks and Recreation's mission statement says, the Parks and Recreation Department is to enrich the community through providing services and facilities and improve quality of life for all residents here in Douglas County. That's not true. Two outside groups have used our Cedar Mountain Park as their own private park for decades. And decades. They've had a gate with locks on it and a lockbox for their groups only. Citizens keep out. For the last 6 or 7 years, I've tried to get Cedar Mountain Park open to everyone, but it fell on deaf ears. The department heads were dismissive and totally disrespectful. I was told nothing was going to change. I was wasting my time and I didn't need to call back. The old parks director told me that they could use it for perpetuity. They refused to take my calls or return them, so I filed FOIA request. Here's the answers I got. They couldn't find a single person in county government who authorized or gave the two groups permission to use our park. Not a single one. They said they didn't have the names or addresses or contact info for any of the club officers. Not a single one. They said they didn't even know the counties they reside in. This was untrue. They didn't know who had the keys or how many keys or who handed the keys out. They didn't know who put up the no trespassing signs. They said they didn't even know they were up. These are the signs. They go by them every day going to the landfill. The last signs were bright red and said, "Keep out, violators will be prosecuted." This is our park. This is our public park, but they were still protected, and the county knew nothing. After years of getting no resolutions, I met with several commissioners and was told the Cedar Mountain Park issue would be resolved. I told them it should be easy. Close it to everyone or open it to everyone. But they couldn't even bring themselves to do what was easy, fair, and practical for their citizens. The county solution: give the same two outside groups who've used our park for decades and decades and locked us out of the park we paid for. The county gave the two highly favored and obviously connected groups, they gave them a highly protected groups sweetheart leases. The leases, and this is why it's not about the money, the leases are for 1 year, $50 a month, $600 a year, or 60 cents an acre, which renew automatically. And they give them exclusive rights to Cedar Mountain Park, our park, with a new gate and locks. Who's looking out for the citizens, the taxpayers? Our park should be available to us. Juxtapose the way these two groups are treated with the museum. They've been rent-free for 40 years. They've had locked gates and posted keep-out signs. They have automatic lease renewals for $50 a month. The museum, everyone welcome, community involvement, and citizen participation. And we're trying to preserve this Douglas County treasure. Do the right thing. Open Cedar Mountain Park, as the mission statement says, for all its citizens. And save our museum with all our history. Examine your hearts. It's obviously not about the money.
Mr. Roper,
6 cents an acre. Remove the logs. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Roper.
Jeremy Germain.
Good day, Commissioners. Good day, good day. For those who aren't aware, the correct term is Native American, which is also my history. It's not Indian. I want to thank the gentleman for his service, and I echo his sentiments of new leadership at the museum. I'm a photographer, a videographer, and an overall artist, so to be clear, I respect art and factual history. Where is the museum space about Frederick Douglass, who found Douglas County? All right now. For the gentleman who used black people as a shield, a small room in the museum, which is smaller than the lunchbox room, does not represent black people. I'm here to talk about the most valuable asset in Douglas County, our people. The dedicated employees who run our offices, maintain our parks, protect our public, and preserve our history. For nearly 3 years, these employees, thank you, have not received an overall pay increase. In that same 3-year period, the cost of everything from groceries and gas to housing and healthcare has risen dramatically. When our employees' pay stays flat while their expenses go up, it's not just treading water, it's an actual pay cut. This is why a cost of living adjustment, or COLA, is not a bonus or a luxury. It is a necessity. It is the bare minimum we must do to ensure our public servants can afford to live in the community they serve. We risk losing talented, experienced people to other governments, like the city of Douglasville, which recognizes their employees with annual bonuses, or to the private sector. We cannot provide first-rate services with a retention crisis. Now, the first question is, how do we pay for it? I have an answer. We are sitting on an incredible underutilized asset. The Douglas County Museum, with the right vision, that space could be generating $500,000 a year for this county. That is, in the guess, it's a conservative estimate based on what similar institutions can achieve. That $500,000 is the answer. It is the funding for the COLA. It is the solution for our retention problem. and our turnover problem. But this isn't just about the money, it's about the vision. It's about I've been fortunate to visit museums all over the world, from New York to Georgia and even Japan. The one thing that makes a museum great isn't just what's on the walls, it's the people. It's the staff who are empowered to learn, to grow, and to bring back new ideas. For our museum to progress, to become that $500,000 a year asset, our people need to see what's working elsewhere. They need the resources and the professional development to visit other museums, to learn from them, and to bring that innovation back home to Douglas County. But how can we ask them to do that? How can we ask them to innovate, to grow, and to be the best when we won't even pay them enough to keep up with inflation? This is about fairness, it's about vision. We can't have both, but we can. Let's unlock the potential of our museum, use that revenue to fund the COLA for our employees, which they've earned, and invest in the people who make this county run. I've lived in Douglas County for only 5 years, but I plan to be here, and where I live does matter to me. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Geraldine Jermaine. Thank you. Who's next?
That concludes the people that have signed in.
Okay. Miss Mitchell, Madam Attorney, is that my discretion or?
Yes, that's what she said. I will read to you what section 2-3B says.
Okay.
In non-voting work sessions of the Board of Commissioners, any person who desires to address the board regarding any item of public interest during citizens' input shall first register to do so in an area designated for such purpose at the meeting location, completing and submitting a speaker form to the county clerk at least 10 minutes prior to the announced starting time of the meeting. Upon recognition by the presiding officer to speak at the meeting, such person shall appear at the location designated by the presiding officer and provide their name and address for the record. Thereafter, the person so recognized shall have up to 3 minutes to provide input on any matter of public interest. I'm going to skip down to this portion. If such person addressing the board has printed materials to distribute to the members of the board, such materials shall be submitted to the county clerk prior to the start of the said meeting in order that the distributed printed material to the general audience in attendance shall be provided. Such person shall place the materials in an area designated by the presiding officer in order to provide public access. Without the express permission of the presiding officer during the conduct of the meeting, all presentations will be closed after 3 minutes. The presiding officer may establish time limits on public comments regarding an issue, provided time limits for differing opinions are equivalent. In the event of multiple people wishing to speak on a topic, it is suggested that people with similar views to express select one representative to speak for all of them. So, Madam Chair, based on your code at section 2-3B, it provides that the persons wanting to speak during citizens' input shall register at least 10 minutes prior to the announced starting of the meeting time. The discretion for the chair is whether or not you will allow additional time for the comments. So if you want to go over 3 minutes regarding an issue, but to do so, you have to give differing opinions equivalent time.
So it's my discretion, right? I just want to make sure I have the discretion. Okay.
So there's a shall in the section that talks about registering before the meeting, 10 minutes before the meeting. The discretion is limited to whether or not you will allow additional time beyond the 3 minutes for each speaker.
Ms. Mitchell, certainly respectfully, she just read the code, and it says those who have already spoken, I could allow some additional time. You know, I'm a mother like you, and I'm a listen. So could we have something offline? Once you finish, I would allow you to come speak to me if you want to do that after this meeting. Is that okay with you? All right. Thank you. I just want to make sure I follow our legislation. Sure, if you want to come to my office at 6, but can you come? Oh, we're not going to be here today at 6. It's tomorrow. Tomorrow is another open one like this? Yes, ma'am. But it has to be germane to the agenda tomorrow. Yes, ma'am. So it has to be germane to the agenda. It has to be specific to the agenda. So today is one that you could speak off the agenda, but of course you had to sign up for 10 minutes prior. Okay? All right. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to the next item. And thank you, board, for helping me, because, you know, I heard the word discretion. I thought I was weighing in with my mother's heart. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next item. Board of Commissioners, are there any changes that need to be made to the agenda today?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay. Vice Chair, you have the floor.
I'd like to remove line item number 19 for the fire department to purchase the Clear ProFlex software.
Yeah.
We found out that the sheriff's office already has this software, and the fire investigators actually are sworn in under the sheriff's office, so they actually work underneath the sheriff as is. So we really don't need to purchase that software. I've had a conference call with the chief and also Chief Deputy Connor, and they both agreed to this.
Okay. So we have a cost savings, ultimately.
Chairman, I have one other correction on the minutes for the constitutional officers retreat minutes. It should be October 30th, 2025, and not November.
Okay. October 30th.
Yes, ma'am. It's number 4.
Okay.
October 30th.
Okay. Any other changes, revisions, or anything that need to be added? With that being said, Board of Commissioners, do we have a motion to approve the agenda with the corrections as stated?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion, Board? We have a motion and a second. Please prepare to cast your electronic votes.
Sorry, can we do it by hand?
All in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Okay, we have a 5-0 unanimous vote with no opposition, and the motion carries. All right, we're going to move on to the next item. We have a couple of, well, first of all, Board of Commissioners, as a reminder, each commissioner has 3 minutes to make remarks, like our citizens, and then, of course, 2 minutes for rebuttal if there's some need for back and forth discussion. This morning, we have a presentation. We have 2 presentations. The first one will be a presentation by the Tax Abatement Committee, and that committee is chaired by Commissioner Kenner Jones, and she will be presenting, and I guess you have your team here this morning.
Tiffany's just going to advance the slides for us.
Okay.
So as the public is aware, we did revitalize the Tax Abatement Committee to make sure that we were appropriately tracking business development and what revenue generation looked like for the county, but also to make sure that the current tax incentive programs that we operate under make the most sense. We did hear the public saying that they were concerned about the businesses that we do incentivize, how much revenue we were giving up, what we would not be receiving in terms of the Tax Abatement Committee. So again, as Madam Chair said, the Tax Abatement Committee does exist to review all abatement agreements, ensure transparency and accuracy, monitor their impact on county revenue and services, and recommend updates that keep Douglas County's economic strategy responsible and sustainable. Again, myself and Commissioner Raxton did co-chair that. The administrative team did sit on that committee as well through our Chief Financial Officer and Dr. Corbin, the County Administrator. The team was also made up of the Tax Commissioner's Office with Commissioner Baker and 2 of his staff members, and also through the Tax Assessor's Officer with Chief Appraiser Steve Balfour and with Eugene Roberts. We did not have it listed, but I do want to give a special thank you to our manager of planning and zoning, Allison Duncan, because she did come in her free time to help out and make sure that we had the correct parcel number. So I do want to acknowledge her efforts in that as well. And then, of course, Breezy Straighten and Chris Pumphrey from Elevate Douglas also sat on this board. You can go to the next slide. So in Douglas County, we do use abatements to incentivize businesses to come here. And Douglas County has used abatements for many years. Under Georgia's economic development law, we have also the responsibility of reporting out to the public how much tax revenue was abated each year. That was one of the first things that I wanted to make sure that we started to do in a more prominent format. So if you go back and you look at the county's past audits, you will see the amount of abated revenue that was given up, but we are not including that in a formal statement. So that you'll see later in the presentation, one of the recommendations is to make sure that we are doing that at the time of the budget so that the public is aware of what the opportunity cost loss was based on those abatements. So abatements, by definition, are temporary tax discounts that lower a business's property taxes to encourage them to build, expand, or stay in the community. In return, the business commits to bringing specific things like a certain number of jobs, investments to the properties, contributing to economic growth overall. Abatements are not free money for the business. It's supposed to help them generate additional long-term revenue, whether that be through income taxes or through adding employment so that our sales tax will go up. They are tools of that counties can use to attract projects that are expected to benefit the community long-term. Again, the abatements are used to compete with other counties. So an example of that would be Douglas County previously competing to try to have the World Soccer Federation come here, but unfortunately we lost that battle to Fayette County. You use it to attract businesses that bring jobs and long-term investment, to support projects that may not happen without financial help. So maybe there is an industry that wants to come to your county, but they can't afford the full build out up front, but long term it would be good for your residents or citizens to have that development here, so you may use abatements in that way, or to strengthen the county's economic growth over time. Abatements usually last for a set period of time. That's often 10 years, but there's some that we've seen that have been for up to 15 years. Taxes do start off generally low and then gradually increase year over year until that business is at 100% of their assessed property tax value. After the abatement ends, again, the county should be collecting the full property tax amount. The goal of these abatements should be for short-term tax relief and long-term community benefit. Examples of tax abatements, again, would be for new construction. A company may plan to come here. They want to build a $20 million warehouse in the county. The county, through its development authority, in our case it's Elevate Douglas, offers them a 10-year abatement where the county pays 20% in the first year and then gradually increases year over year until they reach 100%. Abatements for business expansion are also used. So let's say a manufacturer wants to add a new building that would cultivate 60 new jobs in the county. The county may offer them a partial tax abatement on the new addition only, so that they are able to do that build out and then help the economy of the county grow. You could also use that for strategic industry. So let's say Douglas County wants to get into medical device production or something like that. You may use a tax abatement as an incentive to get businesses. For example, Douglas County has acquired Zoetis, which is the leading veterinary medicine animal service provider, to come here and bring new jobs, new industry, new educational opportunities. You can also see that abatements are used to help renovate blighted areas. So shopping centers that have been vacant for a very long time, developers may be willing to come in and revitalize those if we offer a tax incentive for them to do that work. As you know, with anything, there are pros and cons when you are using tax abatements. And so obviously the pros would be you can use those to attract new businesses or revitalize neighborhoods, support job creations and long-term local employment, encourage redevelopment of blighted or distressed areas, boost tax base over time once the abatement period ends, and to help secure strategic industries that the community ultimately wants. The cons, however, are that there are short-term and sometimes long-term loss of county revenue. The cities also have autonomous ability to reduce the tax obligation, and the county does not have any say-so in what the city abates, even though it abates our taxes as well. There is a risk of low community benefit if a project doesn't deliver the promised number of jobs or investment. There's also possible inequity if the abatements favor certain industries or developments over others, and there's a dependency on accurate assessments and monitoring to ensure compliance. So you may have offered this tax abatement for a specific period of time, but if nobody is monitoring it, you're not sure that the county or community where that business is actually getting what is owed to them. I do want to take out an opportunity to again stress that it's important to note that while each city operates within the boundaries or confines of Douglas County, they are an autonomous government with their own independent power and authority to use tax abatements for economic development within their boundaries. When they do that, the county's property tax value is also abated. So we may not have been able to participate in that negotiation or be aware, but that's a reduction in revenue that otherwise would be available to the county to help offset some of our residents' costs. And we're working at that deficit. And again, the county will lose their portion of those taxes for the 10-year period or 15-year period, whatever the city has chosen to do at that point. It's important to note that because the county, again, is losing its share of property taxes for the length of the abatement, but we are still required to provide 911, court services, roads, public health, fire and EMS and EMA services, all at our full strength or full capacity. And ultimately, that sometimes results in a funding gap for those services based on taxes that were not collected or not available to us. And that gap, typically you see it widen year over year as the tax abatements continue to progress. So currently, in Douglas County, we do have multiple businesses that do benefit from tax abatements. I wanted to make sure that we had this slide included because I think there's a common misconception that all of the warehouses or all of the data centers that are in Douglas County receive a tax abatement, and they do not. Currently, we only have total 16 companies that are on abatements. 10 of those businesses are in the county and 6 of those businesses are in the city limits. Examples of those in the county would be AWS, Foxhall, Google, and examples of that within the city limits would be Key, Microsoft, and Zoetis. So this is just an example. We took a sample from a 3-year period to see what was the loss in revenue that was available to the county for 2022 through 2024, and you can see we've abated $8,056,794 in taxes, and so again, that's money that could be going to critical services, but you have to determine whether or not that loss in revenue was worth it based on jobs that have been created and new businesses or new developments coming into the county. And again, I think it's important that going forward each year when we get to the budget, we make sure that our residents are aware of what tax revenue came in from those abated companies and what the loss in revenue was. Again, opportunity cost just means weighing what we have given up against what we gained. An example is if we give up $20 in taxes today, we could expect long-term benefits with more than $20, such as jobs or new investments. So a good example of that would be we just went, Madam Chair and I actually were at Microsoft touring, and they are on an abatement, but they are currently employing at the Douglas County site 1,000 people. So that's 1,000 jobs and residents who are in Douglas County that otherwise wouldn't have that employment. So you have to weigh the pros and cons to see if the abatement structure makes sense. So through our audit on the abatement committee, we did have some key findings and recommendations that came out of that. One of the most important that we did come up with was that there is an outdated or inconsistent abatement schedule. When we go through the abatement documents, we see that there are some that have just a straight 50-50 on their real or personal property for the term of their abatement. There are some that have gradual plans. There are some that we have various different year one dates, year one meaning the date that the tax abatement starts, so that you know what the 10-year date is for the abatement to end, which has made it difficult and a bit inconsistent for the tax assessor's office and the tax commissioner's office to ensure that they are actually collecting the proper amount from each of these companies. Recruitment focus may not match the county's priorities. Again, the recruitment focus previously had been on data centers. From feedback from the community, that's not the direction that it seems like a lot of residents would like for us to go. So there does need to be a reassessment and community engagement process to determine what types of industries you want to see here, so that we can work with our economic development authority to determine what is the most appropriate incentive structure to have desirable businesses and industries come to Douglas County. There's a lack of clear standardized abatement procedures, and so we do need to work with our economic development authority to determine when the abatements are going to be offered. What does the commission want to see in terms of the length of those abatements, and really standardize that process so that there's not confusion or inaccuracies later. Additionally, there were potential inconsistencies in the county's tax digest. To resolve that, we do need to conduct an independent review of the countywide tax digest to ensure accuracy across all parcels, including those with abatements. There was potential inaccuracies in the assessed value of real and personal property of the abated companies, and so we do need to hire a subject matter expert to conduct independent assessments of the value of real and personal property of each of the abated companies. And finally, we did have concerns about the valuation accuracy in key sectors, and so we do need to commission an independent assessment of the warehouses, distribution centers, and data centers to verify that the valuation of the property is in fact accurate, so that we can have accurate tax bills sent to those corporations and have money recouped in the event that we have under-collected. We did, through this process, discover that there were a few companies that had not been billed correctly, and those up-to-date statements have been sent out, and so that revenue will be coming back to the county. So the goals of the committees and our recommendations are to ensure that the abatements match current economic goals, strengthen the accountability and verification process, increase transparency for the public, and maintain long-term financial sustainability for Douglas County. The current actions that the committee has taken are that we have identified businesses that were incorrectly or improperly coded. The tax assessor's office has corrected these codes, so the county now has an accurate list of the companies that are receiving abatements. Some of the abated businesses were not being billed correctly, or were paying the wrong amounts. Those errors were confirmed, and corrective action was taken to fix those issues. After the corrections, updated billing statements and notices were issued to ensure each business is charged the proper amount under their current abatement agreement, and the tax assessor's office and the tax commissioner's office have collaborated to create a streamlined communication process to ensure accuracy. Previously, their systems were not talking to each other, so they had to manually go in and identify if it was an abated parcel and then check it across the actual abatement and bond documents, and now they won't have to do that because they're flagged appropriately in the system, so that hopefully we don't have inaccurate billing in the future. So the next steps for our committee is to continue to review the abatement process, increase communication and transparency. We do hope to collaborate with the city of Douglasville so that we are offering more similar streamlined abatements if that process continues in the future, and develop updated abatement policies for board consideration. And what that means is, what does the board want to see in terms of the length of abatements offered, what types of businesses we are trying to attract, and what types of businesses we are trying to retain, and hopefully see some movement towards abatements to incentivize the current retail spaces in Douglas County so that they can renovate and get up to date in a way that facilitates other businesses wanting to come to Douglas County. So just briefly, the key takeaways from this presentation is that the abatements are temporary tax breaks meant to encourage investment. Douglas County, in the last 3 years, has abated over $8 million in taxes. The city abatements also reduce county revenue. Some abatements benefit the community, while others do, rightfully so, need more and additional scrutiny, and we do need to modernize and make sure that the abatement structure is accurate to ensure fairness and sustainability. Commissioner Axton, did you have anything else that you wanted to add?
No, I think that is very comprehensive, and again, I'm very pleased with, having the opportunity to work with the committee to identify some of these areas of opportunities, and there may be some opportunities even when we talk about the Audit Advisory Committee, that there could be some partnerships with the Tax Abatement Committee to provide additional resources and support.
And we didn't put it in the presentation, but I know some residents have previously asked, based on the businesses that Douglas County has, when we should start seeing more tax revenue from them, because a lot of these businesses have been here for longer than the 10-year period, but that doesn't mean that their business started receiving the tax abatements the minute that they came to Douglas County, because they usually have a period of time during construction in progress where they are being taxed at the full market value, and then once they are done and they are issued a certificate of occupancy, then their abatement period starts. So you may have a corporation like Microsoft that was here 7 years prior to their actual abatement start date, and so it feels for a lot of the residents like we should be having a tax digest that's bringing over $1 billion in tax revenue, but that's not happening because most of the companies have not reached their year 10 or year 15. And so I'm not going to go through my whole chart. I would bore you to death. But there are a couple of periods or dates that I do want residents to be aware of. So Southwire, for example, next year will roll off, and that will be a significant bump in tax revenue that the county should see the benefit of. There's also a couple of businesses that will be rolling up to their 90% mark, which is the second Southwire. Actually, no, that's BioLife would be moving up to their 90%, and that will give our tax digest a significant boost in revenue. And then we really won't see another huge boost until 2028, and then 2032 and 2038, just to give you an idea of how long these abatements actually last before the county will really see a robust growth in what our tax revenue is, and then hopefully be able to roll back or see some relief in terms of residential property tax relief. Is there anything else, Commissioner?
No, thank you.
With that, I yield back, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you so much, Commissioner Kenna Jones. Great job. Certainly this program was developed under my leadership starting 2017 to 2018. I believe Dr. Corbin, this is something we started, of course, and Commissioner Kenna Jones and Martin Raxton, Commissioner Martin Raxton, has taken it to a whole new level. Good information and captured some revenue out there that, of course, we've been waiting on quite a while. So thank you. I appreciate all the due diligence that you all have done. You've taken this mantle and run, and it was an honor to certainly appoint you to these positions. Certainly as chair, I knew Commissioner Kenna Jones had the teeth that could get in there and dig deep and make sure that we identify some areas of weaknesses, as she certainly brought forth that SWOT analysis that was key to determine how we could capture money that is owed to the county. I do have a question for you, Commissioner Kenna Jones. How many companies out of the 16, how many companies here in Douglas County do we have, organizations that not on abatements? You have 16 that are on abatements, but total, how many? That's out of how many companies?
Oh gosh, hundreds.
Is it Breezy? 3,500. So out of 3,500 companies.
It's less than one. We are less than 1% of businesses in Douglas County are on an abatement.
So which is phenomenal. That's good news for Douglas County. So citizens, that's good news. 16 out of 3,500 is pretty good. All right. With that being said, any questions, Board of Commissioners, for the presenters? Our commissioners, y'all have any questions? Okay. No questions? Well, thank you. Great presentation, and keep up the good work. Thank you. It's just the board. You so, Ms. Mitchell, you know I love you. Right, but it's, if those folks that was speaking earlier, I tried to do that too, is like you say, but that wasn't it. She clarified it for me, my county attorney. With that being said, we have one more presentation. Next we have a Douglas County Museum presentation, and certainly our attorney, former attorney, or still attorney, Frank Wynn, you have the floor. Thank you so much, Attorney Wynn. And let me start by saying thank you for coming in. I certainly have requested a presentation be given, and I appreciate you rendering this presentation. Okay, thank you.
Frank Wynn, 8925 Orchard Drive, Douglasville, Georgia. And it doesn't make any difference, but my family's gone back here from the beginning. Winston, Georgia used to be Wynntown, Georgia, because of a great uncle. But I don't think that that should make a difference in what I have to say or why I'm up here. I am not part of the museum staff, their volunteers, or anything else. I just believe in history, and I believe that it is important to preserve history. And so when I heard about this, what was going on with the museum, I wanted to come and say something, even though I might not have started with enough knowledge to know what I was saying. I've learned a lot by listening to people, and I think most of the people here that say stuff, they say things that are valuable. They're not something that everybody agrees with. They're not something that comes across smooth or nice sometimes. And I sit back and I think, I wish I could bite my tongue sometimes or pull back somebody because they've said too much or what I thought was too much, but I may be wrong. I believe the differences in people, the diversity in Douglas County is what is our strength. And if we continue to fight over this diversity, it's going to be our downfall. And I'm here because the museum board wanted somebody to come up here and present a slideshow, a PowerPoint, something that tells you a little bit about them. And I've tried to sit down with them and find out a little bit more about them so that I can do this. And I'm doing this as a volunteer. I have probably overstepped my time, plenty of opportunities that I've been given in volunteering to do things that I didn't do back when I was working. I'm retired now. And it's like I work out at Sweetwater Creek State Park and I interfere with my business on the Keep Douglasville Beautiful board, or interfere with the charity that I run that has been the most rewarding thing in my life. And our charity, the Win 3 Charitable Fund, has done what one of the speakers against the museum asked. We've paid for salaries for 2 years if you calculate what we did just a couple of years ago. We believe in the museum, and we've donated stuff to them. I think one of the most memorable things I donated was the Charles Lindbergh autograph that my father got when he was flying fighter planes in the Pacific during World War II. And he wound up being stationed at the same place as Charles Lindbergh for a while in the Pacific. Got an autograph, and my father was a hoarder. He kept everything, and so after he passed away, I ran across it, and I donated it to the museum. They have a section related to military. They have a section where they've tried to preserve uniforms, and it's interesting to go through there. Do they have the best presentation in the world? I doubt it. But It's volunteers and part-time employees. And I'm here to give you a little bit of what I think their vision is, whether it's written down correctly or not. I appreciate the opportunity that the board did by giving me the opportunity to come up here and speak on their behalf. I'm doing it strictly as a volunteer. Please feel free to ask me any questions. I would rather be clear than say something and you not know what I meant or what I said, because I want us to be together. And after talking to the board, whether it came across or not with some of their materials or some of their past actions, their goal is to show the people of Douglas County who they are, where they came from, what's their past. Their goal is to try to tell you that we are celebrating, as you see in their first slide, we are celebrating the citizens of Douglas County. It is the People's Museum. That's what they feel, whether they say it right, whether they do it right, whether they answered the Kennesaw State University professors' questions correctly or the way they meant it. But we're all a part of this. Not only you, but the city of Douglasville too. And I'm disappointed that they're not involved. I'm disappointed that there hasn't been a conversation with them before something occurred related to the museum. I wouldn't have done this if I didn't believe that there was an intent for everybody to be included in the museum. But it takes volunteers, it takes contributions, and I don't mean money. I mean artifacts, I mean documents, I mean ideas. There's a photograph up there of the DC-9. I didn't know what it was until I went up there and saw it, looked at it, had never heard of it. The DC-9 is a photograph of 9 African-American men who fought in World War I. They received a French medal for their participation in assisting France during World War I. They were part of an all African-American unit. But we had 9 people, and they're honored up there. That's part of our history. And I feel like sometimes the anger and sometimes the comments relate to race, and I don't like that. Between Dot Padgett and myself, you're not going to find anybody that is more sympathetic to the history of what white people have done and how they mistreated African Americans, how they mistreated Indians. My history is Irish, Welsh, and Comanche, and I'm most proud of my Comanche heritage. It was something I didn't find out about until later in life. And in talking to my ancestors, my aunts and my uncles, they didn't find out either. It was something that they didn't know about to start with. Their father had not told them about the history. And when he did, I think he was surprised at how proud they were and how proud I am. And I want you to know that's where I'm coming from, is that I don't like us having the disagreements. Most of my career was spent defending people in criminal cases. Those are not the people that are mostly liked in our community. But my attitude was, what's the truth? My attitude has always been that we have to look at them as human beings, and that's how I approached it. They are humans, they've made mistakes, and I didn't believe that they were innocent just because they had an attorney. In presenting this slideshow, I have to make sure I figure out how to do the machine.
You need some help?
There we go.
Okay.
There was a lot of information that's been brought out, but the one thing that is clear is nobody knew about the Kennesaw State actual report that got done. I know, Ms. Jones, you talked about how they should have known last time, but in looking through the record, there's no evidence of it. And I recall on October 21st, Mr. Alvarez, you asked everybody up there at the table if there had been any communication that gave the information from the report. And everybody said no, or else they said nothing. And so first of all, we have to start with the fact that what the report said was not given to them. They didn't get it till they had a Freedom of Information Act, or under Georgia law, open records request. I did an open records request for information, and after the last meeting, I still have not received any response to it, so I have to assume that the answers are there's nothing there. But in that request, I asked for what type of planning had actually been done. What's going on in relation to the election board or any office that is going to move there? There's been statements made about the cost of it. I make statements. Other people make statements. Is it cost effective? I think the question needs to be asked. I don't think you need to take my word for it, anyone else's word. I just believe action should be done to investigate some of the things before you start moving forward with the report as justification. The report is interesting, number one, because nowhere does it recommend terminating the lease. Nowhere does it recommend getting rid of the artifacts in the museum. Nowhere does it say that you should take actions to close it down. In fact, what it said is the courthouse itself is the most important artifact there. It needs to be preserved. It pointed out how it's part of the National Historic Register. And it tells you about some of the importance there. And even though y'all have talked about moving stuff in there, the report says move offices out. And I find it disingenuous that we use the criticisms in that report without looking at what their conclusions were. Now, I'm going to tell you, and the board may not agree with me, there are a lot of things in there that the board could be doing better. Fundraising is clearly something that needs to be addressed. But I've seen over the last year, when they got no funds from the county, that they have increased their fundraising events. I haven't been able to attend all of them, but I've tried to attend what I could. They've made efforts. Did they know that there were specific recommendations in that report? Because if you want to follow the report, in addition to saying move county offices out and let the space be used by the museum people, it also says that you should be funding an executive director at a pay of $75,000. It says to fund other officers, other individuals in there, and when you add up the total that they recommended, salaries of $199,000 plus. That was their recommendation. That's not mine. They mentioned in there that there was some resistance to change. If I was at the interview with Suzanne Hudson when she was talking to them, and they started talking about $75,000 for an executive director, and it should be $93,000 according to the final statement they had, I would have been laughing. I would have said, are you kidding? This is Douglasville's museum. This is Douglas County's museum. This is the people here. We are not the Atlanta History Museum. We are not a museum that is sponsored by Kennesaw State or Berry College or West Georgia College. We are a small group of volunteers and part-time employees who are trying to make ends meet on a budget that is below any one of y'all's offices in the county. Their budget is way below what y'all's, each office is budgeted in the presentation that I heard last time I was here. There seems to be a question about the people that are there, that are volunteers. What you have, people that are there, Suzanne Hudson, they didn't put her name on there, but that's who we're talking about. She's been an interior designer around here for a long time. I didn't realize till I talked to him that she had been recognized internationally. She's published dozens of design magazines and had articles. She's been featured on HGTV. The other staff members, people that include like Joe Phillips, have BSs in education, Master of Arts in history, Masters in administration, in music, community counseling, social services. Is that on y'all's screens? Okay. I saw you turn around, so I was thinking I might not have pushed the right button. We have other volunteers and people that work up there. Fannie Mae Davis wrote a book on the history of Douglas County. They've been trained. One person, I believe it was Miss Pope, has been trained at University of Grenoble. She's very, her family history is very artistic. There's been resourcing at the Georgia Museum of Art. Joe Phillips didn't tell you about his background at the University of Georgia, but he's one of the ones that has the degrees and did a lot of studying up there. John Johnston came up here and spoke a while ago, early on, and I was just disappointed that he didn't tell you about his experience. He'll be one of the most knowledgeable historians you've ever met if you let him start talking, because sometimes he can out-talk me and will not stop talking, but he's got a background. He leads the hikes at Sweetwater Creek State Park when we have a night hike out there. And it's just fascinating listening to him tell the stories, but he tells them in a way that he keeps you laughing. He tells you about what happened as you walk along the creek and what this part of the creek meant to the mill, how the mill functioned, what happened when things came in. He's got a dynamic background and training. He volunteers at the Atlanta History Center to lead tours. He's not someone who just came up here and spoke. You got what I consider a valid historian telling you of the importance. In the report, it talked about demographics. But what the report didn't tell you is that the demographics are not explained. Demographics means so many different things in different contexts, in different situations. And I felt like from listening to some of the people talk, not necessarily that I disagreed or that I agreed with them, but I felt like that ethnicity was the overriding way that people took it. But I don't know, when I read the report, and I read it several times, it doesn't say, does it relate to ethnicity? Does it relate to income differences? Does it relate to age differences and how the community has changed? But I'm going to make the assumption, I wish I was wrong, but I'm going to make the assumption that that was part of what they were saying, was that they weren't open to change and that there was some lack of response to the ethnicity changes that have been in our county. Over the 45 plus years that I've resided here personally, we've gone from a Caucasian 93% majority to a more than 50% what used to be minority majority. And whenever I hear somebody complain about it, my first response is the people that came here for the same reasons you came here. They came here because they wanted something better than living in Atlanta. They wanted something better than living in a metropolitan area, and Douglas County gave it to them. But we also gave them what I have constantly said is the best artery access to Atlanta. So you have the best of both worlds. If you like Atlanta activities, you can get there. But if you want to live somewhere else and raise your children somewhere else, you come here. And it doesn't matter what your ethnicity is. It doesn't matter to me. And I'm not leaving. I live on the same land where my grandparents lived. I moved into their house and have been there since the 90s. And I don't want to see it changed. I don't want Douglas County to just be adversarial based on who you are and what your ethnicity is. I despise that way of thinking, and I won't ever agree with it. This museum, I told you about the photograph in the top right-hand corner. That's the DC-9. That's the award that the French gave them and others in that battalion or group of soldiers. Another person pictured up there, Ernest Galloway. Excuse me. Ernest Galloway was one of the greatest guys I've ever gotten to talk to. And I don't know if you know him. He'd ride his bicycle up here to the courthouse when they built the new courthouse, and they let him set up a shoe shine stand. And I loved the opportunity when I had time and I was at the courthouse to just sit down, have him shine my shoes, but more than anything, just talk. And we used to just talk. He would ask me questions about hiking the Appalachian Trail and tell me stories about basically how I was mistreating my shoes and how the shoes needed to be taken care of. And I learned from him that moisture is not bad for your shoes. Ernest Galloway is featured at the museum. They didn't, the other item is that's the wedding dress made from a parachute by Al Fowler for the wedding he had with Susie Fowler. Other people that are presented up there, which I think this addresses the problem with people's outlook, is that they've made efforts. Lou Van Demps. She was one of the favorite backup singers in all of Motown. She has performed with multiple stars in the Motown world. She's featured up there. She's one of our people. She's one of Douglas County's people. Rufus Polk is featured up there. My early years as an attorney, Rufus Polk, I'll never forget, was just, he was sort of look, to me, he seemed big. He seemed bigger than life in a lot of ways. But more than anything, he had a smile that would captivate you. And he would have a laugh. And he would tell you something that meant something about a case, but he's telling you in a way that he's got a smile on his face. He's featured up there. His son is a bailiff here in the courthouse now and can't be any nicer of a human being than I've ever met in my life. I'm sure Rufus had a lot to do with how our bailiff learned to be a kind person. If you, there's another slide that is on here, but I'm not going to try to go back and forth between different downloads, but if you want to see the list, it is several pages long of different things that are featured there. Cam Newton lives out here. He's featured. Excuse me. Terry Harper, one of everybody's friend. And again, he's got a smile like Rufus Polk. You can't talk to him without feeling like, how do you smile that big? He is such a wonderful person to talk to. And he had so much going for him, but some of the worst luck as a baseball player with injuries. I've never seen somebody tear their rotator cuff while waving home a runner from third base and have to miss the rest of the season. Terry Harper is featured up there. Somebody that's not featured enough, but he's up there, is Mario West. And I'll tell you that one of the main things that my father instilled in me to do is to donate for the scholarship programs in Douglas County. And Mario West, when he didn't show up, I spoke for him because he was always such an inspiration to me. When I first came along, he was in high school. He carried Douglas County's high school program. He was such a basketball program, I'm sorry, because he was such a hard worker. He didn't get any D1 scholarships, and his father, he always wanted to go to Georgia Tech, and his father told him, "I got you, son." It made me cry the first time I heard him tell the story about it. And I wanted to make sure that all those kids at the award presentation knew that even though he wasn't there, they need to be inspired by somebody like Mario West, who's at the museum. Mario West walked on at Georgia Tech and earned a scholarship because of his hard work. Mario West became the captain of that basketball team at Georgia Tech before he graduated. He wasn't drafted. Nobody wanted him. The Hawks took a chance and signed him to a free agent contract, and he made the team because he worked so hard. And when I saw a basketball game involving the Hawks and Mario West came in the game, usually later in the game, you could see an energy because of what he brought to the table. Mario West is featured up there, and our kids need to know about people like him. And it doesn't matter about race. Mario West has always been an inspiration to me, and I will always talk about his story whether he wants me to or not. These are school groups. Whether they've done enough, I think they probably have not done enough to reach out and get school involvement. When my daughter was in school, I took charge of the field trip programs. I felt like it's important to travel. I felt like it's important to go places, to see other things than just sit in a classroom and listen to a teacher lecture. They come, but I think it's up to a school teacher to make the decision to bring the kids. Whether there's enough outreach, I agree with that there has not been enough outreach, and that's what's in one of the things that they're criticized for. They need to do more to reach out to the nonprofits. They need to do more, but they also need to be given guidelines on what y'all expect of them. And they need to report back to you, honestly and truthfully, whether they're making progress in those areas. Are we getting the schools more involved? Have we got them engaged in the stories we're telling? Are our stories worth telling? Are the artifacts that we've been given worth showing to other people? But they do come. In fact, there were 3 students within the last couple of weeks from different colleges that came to the came to the museum for the sole purpose of writing a report. And this was a report that was for a college class. There's been a lot of talk about whether these are good numbers or bad numbers. And I think that's where we just have to accept the fact that's what they are. But this is not for a museum like the Atlanta History Center. This is not a major project in comparison. And I think I hit the podium too hard, I'm sorry. But you can see that we've had people from all over the world. The museum has had people from 44 states, 34 countries, 22,841 visitors in the last just under 4 years. And, that is not Atlanta history numbers. No, it never has pretended to be. It's simply an effort by volunteers and part-time people to make some difference. If you read the reviews on Google, they put some on their website, but don't take their word for it. Look up Google, and you'll see that these are the type of comments that are good. They've consistently received good views, that they do a superior job. There was some question about going through locked doors and things like that. They have items there that have value, whether you value them or somebody else values them, or whether they're just worth money. They have things, but there is a security issue. First of all, you've got all these offices downstairs with people coming in and out, community service workers and other people that have access to just walk in. They have to have some type of security. They have to protect the items that have been entrusted to them. Is there a better way of doing it? I think there is. but I understand why they've done the best they can with what they have, and they've gotten reviews that says overall they've tried to do a good job. They're the only welcome center that's open on Saturdays in Douglas County. They do provide a welcome center for people that come through there. They have had tourists, whether they've had enough and whether they can improve. There's nothing wrong with expecting improvement there. Same thing with funding. There's nothing wrong with asking them to do more with whatever you provide to them. But what has been provided to them has been zero since 2024. And they've still functioned. They've still tried to go forward. And now they have to realize that there's more to it than expecting something from y'all. But the building itself is the artifact according to the Kennesaw State report. And that needs to be preserved. It's an artifact that should be honored. And it was saved for these people to try to do something. They may not be trained exactly the way the Atlanta History Museum's curator or executive director or artifact collector, whatever classification you want to call them. They may not have the exact training, but they are there to try to help all of us have a better view of what's going on with our county. Is that for me?
Yes, getting close.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Huh?
Yes.
It is for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah,
I want to
wrap it
just,
up.
if I could just have a minute to conclude.
Okay.
I
Yes, sir.
appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
You want me to answer questions first?
No.
I'll be
I was just
glad
asking
to.
if we wanted to make sure we got through all the slides.
I think that we all should be involved in how can we be better partners to each other. I think that's what this should be about. The building is not appropriate. As I said earlier, it's not a good building for offices. I have the experience there when it was in its prime, and it was not good then. That's why we have this building. It is not something that is going to just be a quick fix that doesn't cost money. It's going to cost money to preserve that building. And it needs to be preserving the stories of our people in Douglas County, everybody. I think that the commission should be asking, first of all, formulating a plan and telling the board, this is what we expect. We want things done with certain people. We want certain people from different areas on the board, if that's what you want. I don't know what you want, but there's been no guidance where somebody says, these are things we expect, and we expect you to report back to us those changes. When I prosecuted Anawake, the state wanted to know, do I want to close them down? I said, no, it's a great idea. We need to keep a facility like it's Inner Harbor or Youth Villages now, but they wanted to just close it down because there were problems. And as the one in charge of the prosecution, I'm the one that said, no, don't close it down. Redo it and make it be done right. So if you have problems, tell them what they are. Make them do it the way that you believe is right. And listen to them if they say, well, there's a problem with creating salaries of $199,000. That would make sense if they told you $199. Listen to them, but then tell them why you don't agree with it or what you expect in return for that. Or give them $10,000 and tell them what you expect in return for that. It doesn't matter, but let them continue to try to improve their services there. I think that it should be a 2-year opportunity that goes in certain stages. I know every one of y'all seem to agree with history and a museum concept. And it sounded awfully strange the way the conversations went the last time, because I think very sincerely you didn't realize that the vote on October 21st terminated everything. They were supposed to be out, and you seem to want to give them time to evaluate things. What I'm suggesting is give them a guidance on what you think they should be doing, what you think they should be changing, what types of problems have they that are there. Maybe they'll answer your questions and you realize you're only 3/4 right and there's other things to change. But give them a year to report back and make these reports quarterly, and you can see the progress. If the progress doesn't come, then let them know, look, we're not going into year 2. You know, we considered giving you 1 year with an idea that, not like Kennesaw State recommended, by the way, it said 5 to 10 years is what they recommended. I think, and this isn't anybody but me, I think 2 years is a long time to let them get things straight. And 1 year is long enough to let them start showing progress. And if they don't show progress, give them a time frame within that 2nd year to get out. This is the itemized list. We checked it off. You didn't do it. You're moving. There's nothing wrong with that. I hope that your comments about wanting to give them time to prove themselves, that you agree with museums and history, that you agree with education, and you agree with doing it the right way. And the right way is to make sure that they have the report, which they didn't get. Make sure that they have your ideas, your thoughts on the report, because I don't think any of y'all really agree with the recommendations in that report. I don't think you agree with the money that they recommended, and I don't think you agree with the 5 to 10 year plan. I will say that, you know, in listening to the tax abatement, I think that, you know, I think that I understand. I wouldn't want to be a commissioner, and I never did, because it's so difficult making choices. And you have people like you've had today and in the past that, you know, they take sides and they get angry about it. And I'm sorry that's like that, but this group of people, they want us to celebrate our citizens.
Attorney, I
and
want to
for
give
everybody.
at least the board time to ask you some questions. I usually go with a
Okay.
15-minute presentation.
Sorry.
And you've slightly, that's okay, you're passionate. So what I want to do is, certainly, board, do you have any questions for our presenter? No questions? Okay. No questions. Thank you so much for the
Thank you.
presentation. All right. We're gonna move on to our next item. Board of Commissioners, certainly be prepared to review the minutes, minutes from our previous meetings, and be prepared to approve or deny accordingly. And then next, I believe I will yield the floor. Well, I'll yield the floor to you, Madam Clerk. You have the floor.
Thank you. Next, we have our financial report. So we'll just need a motion on that tomorrow. We will have a proclamation tomorrow proclaiming the month of November 2025 as American Indian Heritage Month, and Lisa Meek will be here to present that.
Okay.
We'll move to number 7 under grants. Authorization to accept the Digital Literacy Initiative grant from the National Council on Aging in the amount of $9,000 with no match. Establish the budget and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Porsche Volante.
Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Vice Chairman, Commissioners, and County Administration. Thank you. Yeah, that's fine. The National Council on Aging Digital Literacy Initiative in partnership with AT&T is a grant-funded program in the amount of $9,000 that provides funding and resources to senior centers and community organizations to help older adults build their technological skills. This initiative aims to increase digital literacy among seniors by offering online and in-person training on topics like using mobile devices, internet browsing, email, and online safety, which helps reduce social isolation and vulnerability to scams.
Okay. Any questions, board? Commissioner Raxton, you have the floor.
All right, good morning.
Good morning.
All right, can you tell just specifically what will the funds be utilized, the $9,000 funds? What will they, because I see the list of objectives there, but I just want to get a little bit more detail.
So it's going to be for 4 in-person or online sessions that focuses on those things mentioned. To be specific, it would be safety and security, basic digital skills, and online resources.
Okay. And then just based on the, what was listed as far as the project objectives, are there any one of those that are net new that we're currently not doing now?
I'm not sure. That's a good question. I don't think so. Yeah.
Okay, I see. Dr. Gilchrist, Managing Director.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Will you repeat your question, please?
Yes, just based on the list that they have from A to H on the objectives for receiving the grants, are there any that are net new that we're currently not doing or providing to our residents now?
No, we do have a seniors in technology program that we offer. Right now, we have about 45 seniors who participate in that class on a monthly basis. And so one of the things that we try to do in senior services, always find opportunity to enhance the skills of older adults, the older adults that we serve. And so with this will assist us in furthering those initiatives. And right now, we do have some computers at Lithia Springs, Woody Fight. What we aim to do, and this grant will provide 2 new laptops for us, but also what we aim to do is to use those funds to assist us in purchasing computer equipment for our Fairburn Road Senior Center once that new building is up.
All right,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you. I appreciate that. Thank you for that clarification. Madam Chair, I yield the floor back to you.
Okay, any other questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Commissioner Mitchell, you have the floor.
And I think you already answered my question, though, but I'll let Portia, she kind of let her do a great job. So this will be utilized throughout all of our senior services, correct? Meaning
Yes.
buildings or whomever else. And basically getting computers, if I'm hearing you guys correctly, getting computers and getting software and all that good stuff. So for our aging seniors, to get more technology savvy.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. So right now, this 9,000 would be a couple of more computers to actually go to the new center, or just kind of where the need bases are? I mean, if you would.
Yes, where the need is for it, yes.
Is there anything you want to add to that, though?
Yes, so I hope the funds are unrestricted, so we
Okay.
can use them for whatever we choose to use them for. With the new center on Fairburn Road, we're hoping to utilize the funding to purchase computer equipment and software with the help of our IS department, once that building is open. So this will be a cost savings for us.
And there's no match from what I see here.
There's no match, no, sir.
Got it. And there are any restrictions on this money that we get that, if someone else decides to use this, I mean, is it strictly for seniors only, 55 and older? I mean, how does that work?
It will go into senior services budget. Yes,
Got it.
sir.
See, okay, just want to make sure. Outside of that, thank you,
Yeah.
and Portia, great job.
Yes.
Thank you.
yes. And
I
our,
yield back.
our
I'm
hope
sorry.
is, one part of the grant, we must serve at least 150 seniors for those sessions that Deputy Director Valente spoke of.
And those sessions we offered throughout all of our buildings, or would it be strictly at the new Wait of the building of the other senior citizen
No,
center?
we will offer them at our current senior centers.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
sir. Mhm.
And this would just be more of an online course, just to call
No,
it?
it will be in person.
Oh, okay.
And also, based on our geographic area, we're not sure yet, but AT&T, some of their staff may come and assist with teaching and leading some of those classes. That's part of the grant. We will not know that until this is approved by the board and we send in all of our information.
And how close are we with Google and others that might want to get on board and call it the Google room of software and that kind of good stuff?
We'll be reaching out to them.
Oh, okay, okay. all right.
Yes, sir.
'Cause they're right here in our building, pretty
Yes.
much. Okay, thank you.
So-
I yield back.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Mitchell. Any other remarks, board? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Madam Clerk?
Number 8, approval of the agreement with Cobb and Douglas Public Health Department with the CHIP Partnership Grants Committee for the Wellness Within Enhancing Community Health Through Indoor Fitness. The effort for a grant in the amount of $15,000 with a match of $15,000 to be funded by the Parks and Recreation budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Chad Griffin.
Good morning, Chairman, Board of Commissioners, and County Administration. We did apply for the CHIP program through Cobb and Douglas Public Health, and we received $15,000. And we're going to call it Wellness Within Enhancing Community Health Through Indoor Fitness. And these funds will go towards purchasing equipment to put at Deer Lake Park, fitness equipment to put at Deer Lake Park on the inside in room 110, which I think will be a huge benefit to the community in that area.
Okay. Thank you so much. Any questions, board, for our director?
Yes.
Chad Griffin. Okay. Commissioner
All right.
Braxton.
Thank you. Good morning, and
Good
thank
morning.
you. Just a couple of quick questions. What is is there a targeted age group that we're going after, or that we're targeting or promoting the equipment?
So the equipment will be used for all, but of course, anybody in the county could use the equipment. We're pushing for 65 plus could use the equipment for free, the area for free. So that's just an idea we have at the moment, and we're going to be working with the CHIP program through June. I think that's correct, to get that program kicked off.
Okay. And then do we think that this grant would be renewable into 2027, where it will be supporting the community health improvement plan that you have outlined into 2027?
We can reapply in 2027 or 2026, moving into 2027. So yeah, we'll definitely reapply for the grant.
Okay, great. All right, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
All right, Madam Chair, I yield the floor back to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Braxton. Any other?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Commissioner Mitchell?
So is this outdoor, indoor, where's this equipment going to be placed?
It's going to be placed inside Deer Lake Park, the gym in room 110.
Oh, got you. So this more or less a weight room of some sort, or,
Yeah, it'll have some weights. It'll be, everybody will be able to use
Treadmills
it.
and-
Treadmills, ellipticals, yes, sir.
Okay. And you have $15,000 in your budget to cover this, I guess?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you're good?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Outside of that, okay, I yield back. And it's at Deer Lake though, right? Deer
Deer
Park. Okay. And in the future, are we looking at trying to also enhance our other parks to add something of this caliber?
So the activity center and the aquatic center both have state-of-the-art workout equipment.
Okay.
Only one missing is Deer Lake, so.
So 15,000, 30,000 going to get us state of the art at
Yes,
Deer
sir.
Lake?
It will.
Okay, all right, thank you. I yield back.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
All right. Thank you so much, Commissioner Mitchell. Any other questions for our director? Okay. Thank you so much, Director Griffin. Okay. You have the floor.
We'll move to our business items. Number 9, authorization to accept funds from the State Court Technology Fund and amend the State Court General Fund budget in the amount of $892.80 for the purchase of a laptop for the newly appointed State Court Judge Susan Camp. Tiffany Stewart Stanley will address.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Good morning, Madam Chair, Board of Commissioners, County Administrator. So the next 3 items will address needs for the court. As we know, Susan Camp, our Chief Magistrate Judge, has been appointed as our 3rd State Court Judge. And as with that appointment, there will be certain needs for her courtroom in order for her to be able to move forward and hear cases and work as a judge in the state court. So we are asking today an authorization to accept funds from the State Court Technology Fund and amend their general fund budget in the amount of $892.80 for the purchase of a laptop for our newly appointed state court judge, Susan Camp. And I'll yield for any questions.
Okay. Any questions for our Chief of Staff, Assistant County Administrator?
have one.
Okay, Commissioner Kenner Jones, you have the floor.
Do we need to approve these before she gets sworn in, or do we need to wait until she's been sworn in and then have these? Because currently she's not a state court judge.
So I spoke with Judge Barker, and their need is for her to be ready to go on day one.
So when is she getting sworn in?
I do not have that information. I don't think that's been given to us yet. But when we've had several conversations with him, with the county administrator, and he's saying that there's a need for her to kind of be ready to go as soon as she's sworn in. So we did talk with him about that, but his ask is that if possible, if these things could already be in place prior to her being sworn in, so it can go ahead and start.
I would ask that we get her swearing in date and that she gets sworn in and then have those items approved. I yield back, Madam Chair.
I can check and get that tentative date.
Yeah.
But that's going to be all left up to the governor, so.
Her swearing in's not up to the governor, just the appointment was.
The appointment side of it, then the swearing.
That's already been done, so we just need her swearing in date.
Yes, and I will, let me get some information for you. I can actually come back. Would you like for me to come back on these items and let me get some information and see if we have a date?
You can get that, but as well, it takes time, certainly, to fill those positions and things that he requested. So if he said January 1, you're still not going to be ready. Sometimes it takes 90 days to fill a position.
Right.
So I just want to make sure we, just think about the timing that's associated with filling positions. And certainly, I see our Managing Director, Danielle Nichols. My eyes may be playing tricks. Could you come up for a second? I just want to make sure from a hiring perspective, how long does that take? Just want to make sure, because there's nothing worse than starting day one, January 1st, and you have to wait until March until you can start your operation. Can you talk about the hiring process usually when you post it? Does it take a minute or 30 days, an hour? 3 months? What does it typically that process looks like?
Yes, Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, Board of Commissioners. It depends on where we are with regards to a candidate. If there is not a candidate that is in place or identified, then the posting process could take a minimum of 90 days in terms of finding a viable candidate. If there is a person that has been identified and they need to be vetted, if HR receives that information in advance, we can go ahead and do the legwork so that all of the logistics are completed beforehand. So it really hinges on what information is available.
Okay. All right, that answers my question. So I know, Chief of Staff, you're going to get us a date, and then that'll allow us to kind of go from here. And I would like to see if we could just keep it open today and I'm talking to the board, just leave it on the agenda. Tiffany will get us some information and we'll go from there. You said 90 days typically.
It can. Yeah. It really hinges on the candidate pool. If there is someone that's already been identified, whether they're internal, external. So there are a number of factors that play into the time frame. But of course, the sooner we know, the faster we can move through the process.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. All right. Commissioner Braxton, you have the floor.
All right. Thank you.
Are you finished with?
No. Yeah, I'm finished.
Okay. Thank you so much.
With, Managing Director Nichols. Did we lose Tiffany? Oh, okay.
She went to do her homework.
Okay, well, I guess the two questions I have, one in regards to item number 9, is this a replacement or a net new laptop? Because I'm assuming that the judge has a current laptop.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My understanding is it's a new laptop.
Okay, and will it be for her use, or is it for one of her new staff
I think it's for her use.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just asking the question because, again, if she has one now, I didn't know if there could be repurposed or repositioned for her
Also
moving
have-
to the new role.
Sorry, Commissioner, were you done? No.
No, I was just wondering if that was an
Oh, they have a
opportunity.
new magistrate court judge that's also coming as well, right? So there's a replacement.
Okay.
So my understanding is Judge Camp will get a new computer,
Mhm.
which is what you're approving, you're being asked to consider
Mhm.
today. And you have a magistrate
Right.
judge that will replace, that will come in, that will also need either to take the laptop that was
Mhm.
already there, or accommodations will need to be made.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
And then in regards to, I guess, item number 11, on this same vein, again, just a question on the positions and when will these positions be filled? Because this may be something that rolls not in the 2025 budget, but potentially in 2026.
Correct. And for the last several months, we've been trying to evaluate. As you know, came through Finance Committee to talk about when that would actually occur. So we're still in the process of trying to figure that out. We've been committed to making sure that, trying to get aligned with as soon as Judge Camp is sworn in, that there's a process and funding in place to basically make sure that those commitments are made.
All right. Okay. Yeah, because right now, again, we don't have the date. We
We
don't
do
have
not.
a timeline. And again, as Managing Director Nichols says, it takes time to fill the positions, and we're looking at the state court judge, a staff attorney, and administrative assistants, which could take up 60, 90 days. So potentially, this could roll in 2026.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that. Madam Chair, you have the floor back to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Raxton. Any other remarks, board? Okay. Vice Chair, you have the floor.
No, I just think it's a simple ask. We've got to abide, period. To all of us, when we got elected we were sworn in, the county made sure that we had our equipment ready for us, so day one, the commissioners were up and running. We should just make sure that she has that, and we also got to consider our IT has to get everything on that computer, security, I'm sure software and everything else, maybe software they need to buy. So I just ask us to go ahead and just, it's a very small ask, and it's something that's not really an ask. This is a need. I yield back, Madam Chair.
Okay, any other remarks, board? All right, we'll move to the next item.
Okay. So I'll move on to number 12, correct? Oh, go ahead.
Can I, so, I don't know what the protocol is,
Yeah,
but we were talking about, there are three of them. Item number 9 and number 11 dealt with something that's prospective in terms of when the judge is sworn in. Item number 10 is, Judge Barker did come to the Finance Committee to talk about the need to fund court reporters for the balance of the year. So the proposal before you, item number 10, is to consider funding those court reporters for the balance of the year. That has nothing to do with the new judge coming on
Right.
board. So I didn't want to I didn't want you to skip over that particular item.
Great call, County Administrator. Thank you for not missing it. I know the judge
Yeah.
is waiting on this additional funding that he requested during our budget retreat. He brought it to our attention. So any questions, board, regarding, and I'm just going to say you presented the item because the Chief of Staff is walking. You just presented, if you could just tell us what you said once again, County Administrator, then I would just ask the board if they have any questions so we can move on to the next item.
Sure.
Thank you. This item, how important it is, because Tiffany stepped out and she was supposed to do,
Yeah, okay, so that's what I want to make sure.
Are y'all okay? Do you understand before you do it again?
For 10, yes.
Yeah, 10,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, we understand.
Talking about number 9.
Nine,
Okay.
11
Any
for me.
questions
No, nothing
regarding
for
10?
No.
Okay, if there are no questions, we'll move on to the next item.
Should we wait on number 11 as well, since
Say what now?
Yes.
that's for the,
Yes.
Commissioner Raxton is nodding his head
Yes.
yes.
To wait on a number 11 as well.
Yes, we're waiting
Okay.
on
Yes.
Tiffany to get back with us.
Okay, so we'll move to number 12.
Yes.
Approval of a contract with Astra Group LLC pursuant to solicitation 25-022 for Winston Park renovation in the amount of $8,250,700 to be funded from SPLOST 2022 funds, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Chad Griffin.
Chad?
Hey, good morning again. I'm excited to share that we have all the bids back for the Winston Park Splash project for the upper fields. We received 7 proposals, and we As an evaluation team, we decided to go with the Astor Group. We felt that they have the most experience to move forward and to finish this project in a timely manner.
Okay, any questions, board, for our director? Okay, thank you.
Okay, number 13 is approval of a contract with Nova Engineering and Environmental LLC for the special inspections required at the Winston Park renovation in the amount of $24,000 to be funded from SPLOST 2022 funds, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Julia Janka.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, County Administration. I'm excited to support Chad in this endeavor. We have worked very hard. In moving forward, we'd like to just kind of put out that the target date for the park to go live or to start the renovations is in early January. So between now and January, we will be setting up the contracts for these next two agenda items in addition to what Chad presented. This one is related to specifically the construction special inspections. There's a list of sheets, inspections that are identified by the architect as to critical to making sure that what we are doing moving forward is correct and according to meets our specifications. We did include a 25% contingency in the overall cost from contract to the actual request. We have had multiple overruns with special inspections just to the nature of the beast of drilling, digging, whatever we encounter, rather than coming back and forth and nickel and diming you to death, asking for change order after change order. We go ahead and we preemptively add a contingency to that.
Okay, any questions, board? All right, no questions.
Okay. Number 14 is approval of a change order with Lowe's Design for Winston Park renovation design project, adding construction management and oversight in the amount of $147,750 to be funded by SPLOST 2022, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Julia?
Again, this is related to the Winston Park. This is the final segment to what Lowe's Design has done with us. They designed the project, they helped put it to bid, they helped do the geotechnical surveys, the septic tank perk test, all those parts that build up. This reaches up to an overall cumulative cost of over $550,000, which represents 7% of the overall construction cost, which is well within line to industry standards for the architect's costs up front are related to a project. So this is just that final piece, and this allows us to move forward for the construction administration. This is when they have to do the RFIs, the response for inquiries, validating design specifications, and otherwise finishing out the renovation piece.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for our director, Jeka? Okay, thank you.
I'm not going anywhere.
Number 15 is approval of a contract amendment with Ray Lynn regarding Public Works Transfer Station with no additional cost to the county, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Julia?
Okay, this is related to the Public Works Transfer Station and Recycling Center project. The recycling center is complete, yes. The transfer station had a couple of hiccups in the execution of the construction. However, they're being resolved and should be completed and ready for the project to be able to have a kickoff, hopefully our grand opening in the week of the 15th of December. We just need to extend the contractor in order to be able to complete the final pieces of the work. There's no cost to us for this part.
Okay, any questions, board? All right, thank you so much, Director Janka.
Okay. Number 16, certificate of preliminary plat approval for Mossy Oak subdivision for District 3. This was deferred from November 3rd, 2025. Austin Cronin.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Board of Commissioners, and County Administration.
Good morning.
So this item was deferred from the last meeting, but I've prepared a quick presentation for you. So the Mossy Oak subdivision is comprised of a few parcels, and let me switch so you can see my screen. There we go. Comprised of a few parcels near the intersection of Pope Road and Anawake Road. They're proposing 190 single-family detached lots in total with standard amenities for a residential subdivision. The current zoning is split between residential medium density with conditions and residential low density. The residential medium density portion is 82 and some change acres. Residential low density is about 30 acres to comprise 113 acres in total. So they're proposed to be served by sewer, and the conditions for the residential medium density piece are related to transportation dedications and just general improvements, and they specify that a minimum square footage 2,200 on the residential medium piece applies. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have on this subdivision at this time.
Any questions for? There you go. Austin, do you have any questions?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Commissioner Raxton, you have the floor.
All right, thank you. So Austin, I know initially this was approved back in 2006.
The rezoning, yes, sir, was approved in 2006.
All right, so what has occurred since that time, since 2006?
So the properties just remained vacant. We received the preliminary plat in 2024, and they've been working through us till now.
Okay, because I've gone out, I've taken a look at it, and just even from a traffic standpoint, it's 2 lanes. It's very narrow. It was a terrible turn coming off of Anawiki on the Pope Road. The topography is very hilly. And again, one of the concerns I have is putting another 188 single-family units in that particular site. And I'm wondering, first of all, from a traffic standpoint, have we got any updates on what that looked like specifically since 2006 to where we are now? Because this is like 20 years old.
I can consult with our transportation department and see what information that they have as far as traffic counts and provide that to you. I just don't have that ready at this time.
We have our director, managing director here for transportation. You say the magic word. Austin, you're doing a great job.
Good morning, Board.
Good morning.
Commissioner, I don't have that information handy, but I'd be happy to pull it up and send it to you after the meeting, and definitely before the tomorrow's meeting.
Right, because this is 20 years. So
It is.
This is a great deal of time, and I guess, one of the questions I have is there any type of length of time where we say we have to start this process over and go back through the review process and submittal from start? Take us
Agreed.
to planning and zoning.
And without going over the specifics we may have received, our general practices, well, if the number of units are the same, the trip generation will remain the same, but we do align that with the existing data. So we wouldn't be working off of 2006 data. Our review would be based off of the most recent numbers the department has and that we required the developers to submit. And then again, I'll pull up the specifics and I'll follow up after this meeting.
Okay, and I guess the other concern is will this come back before planning and zoning in the future for planning and zoning to provide any input and additional conditions potentially if this, moves through the process today or tomorrow?
No, sir. So once it's been approved, they have their 2-year vesting period, which typically only provides the 24 months to vest. But they've been working through us, so if they work through us to get their land disturbance permit, they'd be considered vested at that time. So if the preliminary plat were approved to move forward for the land disturbance permit, and then they were approved, they'd be considered vested.
Okay, and considered vested meaning that they can proceed?
Yes, sir.
And would not have to come back through any additional review?
Yes, sir. Well, they would have to get their final plat, which usually is an administrative review. But absent their land disturbance permit and then their final plat and then all building permits, that's the only review process that we have in place.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Well, I am very concerned with the high impact and density this will cause in that particular area. And specifically, like I said, it's a very narrow community or very narrow street. And I'm not sure even from education, public safety, what that impact would do in that particular area. And certainly I would love to have had input from the community and the residents. Again, this was approved 20 years ago, but I have some reservations with moving forward with it. So I just want to go ahead and have that noted. And Madam Chair, I yield the floor back to you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Commissioner Raxton. Commissioner Kenner Jones, you have the floor.
I just have a few quick questions. Was there a plat originally included when they got the original approval?
It was just approved as concept, so they haven't had the preliminary plat for consideration till now.
I think I probably would want to see this one not on the consent agenda
definitely.
tomorrow.
Yep.
I yield back, Madam Chair.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you so
And
much.
the developer may want to be here for questions tomorrow if at all possible.
The developer, I believe, are y'all here with?
Oh, the developer is here. You want to speak to him now?
He's in the way. Oh, Mike Forlaw with the development team is here for questions if you.
I'll send you some questions to give
Okay.
them a chance to
Yep.
be prepared to respond.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, and Madam Chair, I'm along with, now I'm pulling this from the consent agenda as well tomorrow.
okay. Clerk, did you? You did, okay. Vice Chair, you have the floor. Okay. There we go.
Actually, at the time of 2006, when this was approved, I actually lived right there at Pope and Anawake on Autumn Woods Court. It was an absolute traffic nightmare to get out onto Pope Road, to get up to Anawake, to make a left to get to Fairburn Road.
Right.
And that was in 2006. And it has built up tremendously since then, so I am extremely concerned about the amount of traffic it's going to add to that. So I concur with you. It's something that should be concerning, and, look forward to whatever questions are brought up tomorrow.
Okay. All right, any other remarks, board? All right, next item, Madam Clerk.
Okay. We will move to number 17, which is a certificate of preliminary plat approval for the residences at Victoria Crest in District 3. Austin?
Hello, everybody. So I'm preparing the presentation now, and it is loaded. There we are. All right. So this is a this is a subdivision request for a 28-lot attached community off of Simon Road. It used to be a part of the Ashworth subdivision. It was rezoned back in 2022 to residential high density. Conditions relate to the conformance of the concept presented before the Board of Commissioners at that time, and we believe the concept conforms to what's proposed before you now for the 28-lot townhome development. And it's proposed to be served by sewer. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that y'all have.
Any questions, board?
I think you already know. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Commissioner Raxton, you have the floor.
All right. And again, this is another example where this was initially approved 3-4 years ago, I think.
Yes, sir.
So do we have any updated information as far as traffic, as far as have we seen a concept plan? Those are, the things, again, very similar to the last case that we would like to get more input into.
Okay,
And
yes,
just
sir.
be able to see. And then who is the actual developer and who will be the property manager for this particular entity?
So the development team with Southeast Civil is here to answer any questions. I'm not sure if they have the developer lined up currently, if y'all would like to address that question.
I'm Oleg Kachenko with the Southeast Civil Group, and the question was who will be the developer and who will own the
Yes,
lots?
who will be the developer and then the property manager going forth?
The plan is to have a single-family owned, so it's not going to be a rental community or anything like that. And the current developer is Lorenzo Pritchard. This is actually his first time doing a development like this, so he might not know a lot, but that's why we're assisting him throughout the process. I don't think he's here today. I kind of gave him a late notice about this meeting, but yeah.
Okay.
Did I answer your question? Or?
Yes, you answered the question. Yes, you
All
did. So do we have any concepts, design, or drawings or rendering that we could look at?
Of just this layout right here?
Yes.
I mean, that's about it. Other than some townhouses shifting around, like that's the road design. That's going to be the layout design with the amenity area and the stormwater management in the lower left-hand corner.
Okay.
And then as a part of their final plat submittal, they'll have to provide an architectural pattern book to show us what the townhomes will look like on the ground. And then through their land disturbance permit process, they'll have to show us the utility plans for sewer and transportation improvements at that time.
All right, thank you. All right, Madam Chair, I'll also ask that this item be pulled off the consent agenda tomorrow for the consideration.
Okay, clerk, you have that request. Okay, thank you. Any other remarks, board, or comments regarding this particular item? Okay. Madam Clerk, you have the floor.
Okay. Number 18 is approval to purchase 9 AVLs and antennas for medical units and fire trucks from Public Safety Solutions, MO, LLC, in the amount of $11,593 to be funded by the Fire Department budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Chief Allen.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners, County Administration. Yes, we're looking for approval to purchase these AVLs for our fire trucks and ambulances. Just in case you don't know, AVLs are the automated vehicle location system, so 911 can see where our vehicles are located at all times.
Okay. Any questions, board? No question.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Fire Chief.
Okay. Number 20 is approval of an MOU with Douglas County Board of Commissioners and Cobb and Douglas Public Health for the joint execution of renovation and expansion of the Douglas County Public Health Facility owned by Douglas County Board of Commissioners, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Anthony Choice.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, Board of Commissioners, County Administration. In August of '24, the Board of Commissioners adopted a resolution directing the development of an MOU between Cobb Douglas Public Health and the Douglas County BOC for the renovation and expansion of the facility located at 6770 Selman Drive, the property which is owned by Douglas County. The resolution authorized county administration to partner with the Cobb and Douglas Public Health, which currently operates at this location, and take necessary steps towards that renovation. The MOU, which should be a part of your packet, we respectfully ask this morning for your approval to get that MOU signed between Douglas County Board of Commissioners and Cobb Public Health, and have the chair to authorize the chair to sign all legal documents pending legal review, and I can answer any questions you have.
Okay, thank you so much, Director Choice. Any questions for Director Choice, board? No questions.
Thank you much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Number 21, Tiffany's back. Number 21 is approval of a MOU with Cobb and Douglas Public Health in the amount of $462,556.79 to approve the scope and budget of previously allocated funds, amend the budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Tiffany Stewart Stanley.
Thank you. So we're here before you today to do an MOU with Cobb and Douglas Public Health in the amount of the $462,000. This goes back to 2020 when the Board of Commissioners did a resolution to allocate $1.5 million to the Cobb and Douglas Public Health. And this money was money that we had received from the state as a reimbursement for during the COVID time. They have used $1,037,443.21 of the funding, and now they just would like to go ahead and use the remaining $462,556.79 for the purposes outlined in the resolution. $262,346 will be used for the previously approved projects with ARPA funding that we've approved, another $100,000 for a septic project, another $50,000 for their PCM Babies Born Healthy project, and then $50,210.79 for the planned community outdoors exercise equipment that will be located at our new Douglas Public Health Center campus that will be adjacent to Selman Drive Library. I will yield at this time, but Ms. Lisa Crossman is here if you all have any questions regarding this request.
Okay. Any questions, board, regarding this request?
Yes.
Oh, Commissioner Raxton, and you may want to come up if you could, Deputy Director Crossman. Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Good.
Good, and this is probably more for Assistant County Administrator Tiffany Stewart Stanley. Just want to just confirm, as far as the general, this is coming out of the general fund, right? Out of 2025 general fund, or?
Yes, but this is money that was already previously allocated for this purpose. So yes, it is.
Okay, so I just want to confirm, I guess maybe the department account number that is coming out of this, so.
I think it would be 190. Is it 190? Oh, she's coming up, sorry.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
Commissioner Raxton, because like the Chief of Staff indicated, this goes as far back as 2022 or 21. That money is already rolled into general fund balance. So as we spend it now, at the year-end closeout, we'll have to, amend that department's budget through regular year-end amendments and pay for it out of fund balance. Or we can amend it now because the money rolls over as you close each year and you don't spend it, it becomes part of fund balance. But it was originally allocated, as the Chief of Staff indicated, and it just wasn't spent, so it rolled into fund balance.
Okay. Okay, so I guess when I hear fund balance, I'm wondering why this didn't come before the Finance Committee.
Because this is not part of general fund balance. It was money that the state gave us and during the COVID period of time, and it wasn't fully spent. The board allocated for specific projects as the Chief of Staff indicated.
Okay, so were these considered restricted funds that since the state gave it to us, that we could only utilize them for this particular effort in this entity?
Yeah, you could put it that way. It was restricted at that time based on the resolution that y'all passed and designated what you wanted it to go for. So for all intended purposes, that's what we have to do with it. It's not free fund balance, general fund money.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
So yeah, so basically, the Board of Commissioners restricted it back, and when you guys passed the resolution saying we're going to put this $1.5 million today. Today is more so for the MOU purposes, not necessary to like set this money aside. We're just coming back with an agreement for these particular purposes since we had MOUs for all the other items. So that would be why we didn't go before finance, because this is just more of a legality as far as making sure we have a clear understanding with what exactly is going to be done with the other $462,000.
Okay, thank you for that.
Sure.
And will we have any additional MOUs to execute for 2026 in the same manner?
This is the end of it. I think that would complete the total $1.5 million. So this should be it for this funding.
Okay, thank you. Madam Chair, you have the floor back.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Director Crossman, if you could just share with us again what this would be used for. I love the idea of septics, because the septic tanks has really worked out really
so
well.
thank you. You all had been so generous with ARPA funds to support several projects that benefited Douglas County residents. One of them was our septic tank management subsidy program that allowed residents to apply for their septic tank pumping if that needed to be done, or if they were low income and their septic tank needed to be replaced or repaired or connected to sewer. This was a grant that would help support that happening. And so that original ARPA grant has been tremendously utilized and successful, and it will sunset in this month probably. So this allows us to continue that septic program for a few more months. The other amount was, sorry, if you want all of them, the other amount was for the Babies Born Healthy program. That was also one that you all had supported through ARPA funds that ends at the end of December. That money goes to help provide for prenatal care and perinatology services for low-income uninsured pregnant women in the county. So then this will allow us another several months to be able to assure that prenatal care. And then the last one was, you've heard us talk about an outdoor community exercise area similar to what we had done together at Lithia Springs Senior Center. And this would be a common exercise area outside the Douglas Public Health Center and the library that was open for community residents to use.
You answered my question. I wanted to inquire about maternal health, and that kind of touches with the prenatal and all that, so thank you.
Absolutely.
So do we anticipate any funding, grant funding for maternal health coming to us soon? I know we did secure a grant several years ago as a member of the Public Health Board.
So I would like to say I hope so, but I'm not sure yet. We do have a grant from Wellstar Health System that they've helped us across Cobb and Douglas County that goes into it. That's a 2-year grant, so that'll carry us for some of our residents through 2027. But this money should sunset about June of 2026.
Right.
Correct? I think that's when that would end.
Okay. All right. Any other questions, Board? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Public Health. Yep.
Okay.
Madam Clerk.
Number 22 is authorization to enter into an MOU with the following organizations for the 2025 Community Services Program to be funded from the unincorporated fund, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Douglas County Department of Family and Children's Services, $12,500. Share House, $12,500. Douglas County Chamber of Commerce, $100,000, and the Cultural Arts Council of Douglasville, Douglas County, is $100,000.
So these are the community service provider programs that we have traditionally awarded funding to. This would be the board entering into an MOU for the 2025 year. We were almost at the end of the year. These funds have not been awarded as of to date due to some different things we've had to work out with the Department of Community Affairs and some other organizations. But we are coming before you today to ask for these MOUs to be entered into so these organizations can receive the funding. And I'll yield for any questions.
Any questions, board?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Raxton, you have the floor.
All right, thank you. Could you just give us some background on how these 4 organizations were selected?
Yes, so traditionally in the budget, there have been organizations that have been funded. These organizations used to be funded through the general fund appropriations every year. When we moved, when we looked at it in 2023, the then county attorney noted that we needed to activate a community services provider program so that that program can show an MOU. Basically, we're getting a service in return for the money that we are given. So that program was initiated and founded through the county, and we have traditionally funded these organizations through the hotel motel tax. Now, I will note that DFACS and Share House also receive funding from the general fund portion.
Right.
But there was a desire by the board in the past to give additional funding to those 2 organizations. So that's where you see the additional funding for each one of those for $12,500. So they have their allocations in general fund, but those 2 additional fundings. So that's how this came to be, and it's kind of been, I would say, an expectation that the board would consider these organizations, and so that's why we're bringing them before you today.
Okay. So along that line, thanks for sharing that both Community Department of Family Services and Share House has received funds this year out of the general fund for 2025. So has there been an additional request for additional funds from this unincorporated fund account?
So there has been some conversations, I know, with DFACS regarding the allocation. I think when county administration, we were going through looking at the budget and looking at what we traditionally give to these organizations or what the board allocates, we were looking at, what has been set aside. We're bringing this before you today because we wanted to go ahead and clear this out, and then next year look at how we're going to do the program. There's been some requests to look at, allocations, what organizations we're giving it to. Are these the only organizations we should give it to? Now, of course, those are policy decisions that have to be made by the board. So we're just bringing this forth today because we have had requests from these organizations to, for the funding that they completed the applications, I believe, back in April. And so we're just bringing that forward today.
Okay. So I noticed that one of the organizations has utilized the total amount that was provided to them from general fund, but the other one has not.
Okay.
So that's why I'm just asking of the general funds that are provided. So again, just asking the question, has there been an additional need or something that has occurred above and beyond that now necessitates additional funding, specifically when an organization has not utilized the total funds that's already been allocated?
Yes, not that I'm aware of. I just think this is a traditional thing that the board has done. And so when we were going through kind of closing out the year, we're just bringing this forward for your consideration to see if you want to continue the funding for these organizations.
Okay. And again, as you indicated, if we want to change the process, we would need to do a resolution or a board policy to show what that process looks like moving forward in 2026.
That is correct.
Okay. So for me, I would like to just, ensure that we have that process clearly identified and documented And so I'm just requesting that this be pulled from consent agenda tomorrow so we can talk about what that process for 2026 looks like and to put some language into what that looks like. Madam Chair, I yield the floor back to you.
Okay. Commissioner Raxton, could we negotiate a little bit on this 2022 tab? Certainly, we can go with a different, in my opinion, capture what you want. You want some language in a different MOU, which would be going into 2026. I
Yes.
believe this is for 2025. Am I correct, you all?
Yes,
This is
this is
just
for
capturing
2025.
25.
Yes,
So
right.
we can certainly add what you're requesting, but certainly without disturbing this. Is that fair? So, because you're thinking about 26.
Yes, so that is fair, but I think we need to put that language in sooner than later, and that's why I'm asking for this item to be removed off the consent agenda tomorrow, so we can start talking about, put language in there for 26, moving beyond, so we have a documented process for how unincorporated funds are then managed and organizations selected.
But this has nothing to do with 2022. But I won't go back and forth. Okay, you have the floor, Commissioner Kenny Jones.
I think I get what both of you are trying to get at, so would it not be appropriate, and this is, I guess, a logistical question that we may need legal to weigh in on? Because item 22 is basically to make these institutions whole from work that they have done for 2025. Are we permitted to add an agenda item for tomorrow for a separate resolution to address the process that Commissioner Raxton is talking about? Because they're two separate and distinct issues.
Yes, I think that's appropriate to achieve the two perspectives here. Commissioner Raxton is wanting to do something different for 2026. This agenda item is addressing 2025, and so if it is the will of the board to approve the MOU that is on the agenda for 2025 and start anew for 2026, then a separate agenda item would be appropriate to address 2026.
If you could speak it to the mic a little. Yeah, there you go.
So then, do you need a motion now to add a new business item?
No, we wouldn't need a motion. It's just in the conversation, and it's a consensus of this board. 22 could go on consent, and then we would have a new business item for the 2026 policies and procedures for how to spend this money.
Okay, I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I yield back.
Yeah, thank you. Vice Chair, you have the floor.
Yeah, can I just ask that possibly be reconsidered to add another agenda item, because I don't want to rush it. You know, we're trying to ask this to be done tomorrow. We still have quite a few minis left in the year, to which we could throw that onto the agenda to make sure that we've cultivated and massaged this and where we want it to be. And then that way, we just don't rush things. We still got quite a few more toward the end of the year, which I'll be glad. I hear what you're saying. I'm behind you 100%. But I just think we just need to maybe put it to our very next meeting.
What, the actual tab, 2022?
No, approve 2022.
The new item.
Approve 22. Yeah. but just
So
put
it
on to
sounds
the-
like Vice Chair Alcarez is saying, put the new item for
Correct.
2026, policies and procedures on for work session in December, is what I understand. Now, there is no requirement that you pass it, and I'm talking about 2026, the new item, tomorrow. But if you want to have it as a work session item, then it would go on the first meeting in December.
Okay, so can I address that?
Yes, sure. You may.
Okay, so I don't have a concern pushing it back. I just don't want anything else to come through for 2025 that could resemble not having the opportunity to put a policy in place for 2026. That's where my sense of urgency comes in.
I would just add to that, I would at least want to see a version of a draft tomorrow that we can all be working on or have recommendations so that when we come back in December, we've all had a chance to weigh in on what that process looks like, and maybe the discussion at that point can be a little bit more streamlined.
So if you're asking for legal to put a draft together, that will require a conversation with you guys. Otherwise, it will be Laren's draft and not that to be reflective of what the commissioners want. So that's why a work session does make sense, because you can talk through what you want to see for these 2026 policies So then I can reduce that to writing. Without that, I mean, it's just too wide open.
I got you. Dr. Corbin had something.
Dr.
Yeah,
Corbin, I'm
I'd
sorry.
like to just
You have the floor.
follow up and give a little context, because I think I communicated with the board through email maybe a week ago regarding this issue, and I understand Commissioner Raxon and I have spoken about having a process going forward in 2026, and how all of you have mentioned over the course of a year that going forward, you'd like a broader distribution of applicants come in, make presentations, and have, as a board, decide how you're going to allocate funds. So in the 26 proposed budget, that's been set up to do that at this point. Part of this now is to address the 2025 outstanding community service providers that have, quite frankly, counted on the money. It had been communicated to them. Unfortunately, we're tied up in the litigation with regard to some items. So this is our way of saying, can we just close out this period? We don't believe, Commissioner Raxon, there are any additional items that were applicants at this point. I think they've all been determined. They've gone a year. We've used their services. They need the allocation. So we thought it was twofold. One, bring it to the board and let's go and get this issue decided. And two, the intent was to get this board at some point between now and the end of the year to develop a full process for which to determine and allocate funds, right? And I don't want to let the board have the impression that we can just go in a back room tonight and then give you something that's not substantial, because that's how we ended up in this first place. So it needs some time to be laid out for y'all to ultimately get the input from each one of you. I think in the budget, we've structured it to provide that opportunity for you. But as I said in my communication, a plan needs to be put in place, and that's not something that's going to be done in a half an hour. The only other thing I would add is, no matter what comes before this board, whether another 25 item comes, which I don't think it will at this point, or in 26, we can't spend $1 without this board committing one way or another. So the one thing I can assure you is, if anything does come back, it either has to go to the committee or it has to come back to the board. So I don't think anything's going to happen, anything's going to occur without this board saying, hey, we don't have a plan. So I would say that if you have that commitment from obviously the remainder of the board that nothing's going to be done, then I mean, I don't want you to think we're going to have something together by tomorrow night, because that's just not realistic.
Okay.
All right, Madam Chair, can I speak to that?
Sure.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you for that information and additional context. My formal request is, again, that we have something that we can review by the December meeting work session, period. We will review it, we will opine on it, and hopefully it will be adopted before the end of 2025. Madam Chair, I yield the floor back to you.
Okay, thank you so much. I hate to upset the apple cart, but I just want to make sure, let me ask the question first. Chief of Staff, you said we have to exhaust all the funding, correct? All of it, that this fund, is it, I'm just asking because we had a couple of things pending that some folks submitted an application was submitted. It depends on which way things go.
Right.
So is the vault empty, or can you explain that?
So I can get for you all the amounts that's in it, because I don't know the amounts. But no, this isn't like an exhaust all funding type of thing.
Okay.
It's just because of, it sort of said an expectation was
sure.
kind of set for that these services have been provided. We wanted to go ahead and try to get the authority from the board to close this out, so we can go into 2026 with a fresh new approach. That is, the board, comes up with that, and then we move forward with that.
Right, because I'm just saying, is it any more funding left in that 2025 appropriations?
Dr. Corbin
Maybe that's a question for you, County
Yeah,
Administrator.
that's probably, and what I indicated in the communication to y'all is that what we're effectively doing is using unink
Yeah.
to fund it.
Oh, unink.
Unink to fund what we have, with the expectation that once litigation and other matters have been resolved, that fund will be made whole.
Oh, okay, that's all I need.
Yeah.
Okay, thank
Right.
you. I see the finance chair nodding his head. Okay, thank you so much, County Administrator. All right, any other questions, board, regarding this matter? I think we're all on the same page now. With that being said, any other remarks from the board? Clerk, you have anything else? We have one more, I'm sorry. Clerk, you have one more.
I'm sorry, I'm getting questions. Yes, so my understanding, we will leave number 22 on the consent.
Yes,
Correct?
yes.
Okay.
Yes, and then bring forth in the
Yes.
working session of public policy
Yes.
Right.
in December.
Okay, number 23. Number 23 is a resolution to approve the 2026 budget, which will be voted on tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Tiffany, I have, just before you start, CFO, could you just give us an update about Judge Barker? You know, I mean, you said you had a question regarding the start date.
So,
Thank you.
I reached out to Judge Barker, but I did talk to Judge Adams, and she stated that they're under the impression they thought the governor had to swear her in, but Commissioner Kenneth Jones has provided some additional information. So I think at this point, I can go over the agenda items if that's the will of the board, and then I guess we can determine about the swearing in information. Is that what the board wants to do?
Is that what you all wanted her to get the swearing in today? If you could explain to her.
Go ahead. You want-
Commissioner Kenneth Jones, explain to our Chief of Staff what you were looking for.
No, I think it's a separate issue, and we can talk about it offline, but the governor's not swearing in Judge Camp. It's Douglas County, and so they need to schedule a date and get her sworn in so that we can know what the budgetary items and costs are going to be, and it needs to happen sooner rather than later.
So those items will remain?
That's fine.
Yeah, these items will remain on the agenda for tomorrow. Clerk?
It was, just want to be clear, it's only us to number 9, 10, and 11.
Yeah, 9, 10, 11, right.
Correct, on the consent.
Okay, thank you.
So 9 and 10 will be on the consent as well?
And 11.
And 11,
Okay.
yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Chief of Staff. You okay? All right. CFO, you have the floor now. You have the floor.
Good afternoon again, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners. We started, the administration started talking to you all about the budget around the 3rd week of October. Individually, we've had meetings with you all, some more than one meeting, conducting extensive review, questions and answer processes, and providing additional details whenever you all asked us to do that. The countywide budget is approximately $300 million. General fund is approximately $161 million for 2026. First week in November, during a regularly scheduled meeting, you all conducted a public hearing, and we did a formal presentation of the budget, and also continued through this process providing any additional information any commissioner required or requested. This resolution is in accordance to the law, asking for your consideration and adoption of the 2026 budget. And I'm here to answer any questions.
Okay. Any questions for our Chief Financial Officer? Commissioner Raxton, you have the floor.
Yes, so just a quick question. The attachment, it talks more about personnel and personnel-related actions. So I'm just wondering, maybe I can get input from the county attorney. Is this more of a policy for HR versus the budget proposal? And again, I'm looking at the attachment that was in our packet here.
If you're asking about a line item in the budget,
It's not a line item, it's the policy itself, and it talks about requests and reclassifying positions, HR positions, so.
give me 1 second, let me look at what you're looking at.
Okay.
What page is it on?
It's just a one-pager, and it's the attachment. It says, 2025 Department Proposed Budget Change, New Form Requests. That's more of a, to me, like a policy, that's an HR policy versus a budget policy.
1 second.
Okay.
I don't think he's looking at the resolution. He's looking at
Is the
your-
resolution supposed to be attached?
Which resolution?
The budget resolution?
There is a budget resolution. It's about 7 pages,
Right, that should-
but it's not a one sheet, and it has no relationship to HR policy. This
Yeah.
is, maybe the wrong thing was
I
attached?
think the wrong document
Okay.
got attached.
This is
I'm
what
sorry.
should be attached.
I can email it to each of you.
Okay, that'll be great to review that. And again, I know that some of the board members have also had requests for an alternate budget to be shared. So again, I know I'm looking through and massaging some of the figures. You and I have shared some conversations, so I just want to share that with you, that those conversations are still going on where certain tweaks and things could be made. So I just wanted to put that out there and, for review and consideration.
So, just so I'm understanding you, Commissioner Raxton, you don't have any questions for me at this point?
No, I don't have any questions. Just a
Okay.
comment. Okay, but the question was related to the attachment.
Okay.
But I will follow up with you on some of the line items that I have on here that I would like to get more input. Okay. Madam Chair, I yield the floor back to you.
Okay, any other questions, board? Vice Chair, you have the floor.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that my request got pushed through to, in regards to my budget for my office, ask for it to be cut $50,000. Was that implemented?
No, I thought, just based on conversations we had, we were going to use that, we were going to talk about using that for another program.
Correct, but it just shows for my line item, though.
Will-
Can it be
will
reduced? And then we can.
ultimately be amended as such.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. I yield back, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you so much, Vice Chair. Any other questions, board? With that being said, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
CFO.
Our next item is approval of expenses for Commissioner Henry Mitchell III, reimbursable expenses for the month of October 2025 in the amount of $586.27 for ACCG training.
Okay. Board of Commissioners, you will see that particular item on the agenda tomorrow and be prepared to approve or deny accordingly. All right. With that being said, Board of Commissioners, do you have any more remarks or any additions to our discussion? If not, I will tap the shoulders of our county attorney and ask, do we need to go into executive session? Is there a need? Okay, with that being said, Board of Commissioners, do we have a motion to go into executive session to discuss litigation, personnel, real estate, and cybersecurity?
So moved.
Do we have, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. We have a 5-0 unanimous vote to go into executive session, and the motion carries. Citizens of Douglas County, the Board of Commissioners and I will return momentarily. We will be engaging in our executive session, and we appreciate and value your patience. Thank you.